Somebody said to me the other day, "You're the most famous person in the world by far." I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." They said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No." They said, "Who's more famous?" I said, "Jesus Christ."
Yeah, he and I have to definitely debate. That's what I love.
Well, sorry about that. I'm going to cut in here. We'll talk about that in a bit. How are y'all doing tonight? I hope everybody's well. I'm going to give it tonight we are talking about the homeless crisis. What we're going to do for the intros here, I'm going to do it real simple. Y'all know, y'all have all been on panels. Y'all know how it works. We're going to keep it real fast and formal. We're waiting on, I think, one person, but they informed me they're going to be late ahead of time, so we're going to be good to go on that. All right, let me just read tonight's article. Actually, before we read the article tonight, why don't we start with intros? Tyler, why don't you give us an intro, who you are, what you do.
What's up? I'm Tyler. I debate stuff, and that's what I'm fucking here for. Give me about 3 weeks. I'm making my 2-hour-long video essay on the autopsy of the 2024 election and why anybody they put up was doomed to fail after Biden's failed tenure. Otherwise, find me at YouTube or Twitter at Average Debate Enjoyer.
Exciting stuff. Thank you. Lactoid, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and why you do it.
Yeah, I'm Lactoid. You can find me on Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. I am an attorney and / streamer who covers a wide variety of political and legal issues. Just so you guys are aware, Trump is proposing price controls with capping the interest rates on credit cards. So that's pretty bad, and we should push against that as well. I hope to twist the conversation into that today at some point. But yeah, I'm looking forward to today's discussion.
All right, fantastic. Liberal Clock, how are you doing today? Tell us who you are, what you do, why you're here, all the good jazz. Are you there?
Or not.
You're muted.
Clock, you're muted.
Oh, buddy, not a stream without some technical issues to start it off.
It's about to be a 1v3. Oh no.
Oh, baby. That was the plan all along.
I'm on my own island.
I'm sorry, there's like 5 different mute buttons for this.
I totally get it.
Yeah, so I'm Liberal Cluck. I debate for fun. And Base Trump, just so everyone knows, Base Trump has proposed price controls on credit cards, and I'm hoping to talk about that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
God damn it.
We got the MAGA headquarters here. Speak, my son. Tell us what the prophet of MAGA is telling us.
Hi, I am Pentuple. I am in charge of the MAGA headquarters, self-declared captain here. And I am like Lactoid, but lazier. I'm an attorney, and I come on Twitch, and I don't do as many panels and debates as he does. But probably similar content, I would say. Just political stuff.
Got a better setup.
Yeah, I did throw some money at that. Amazon is a wonderful thing. Gotta love it. They got all this stuff, everything for $20. But yeah, I do YouTube and Twitch, and that's my thing.
Yes, we all love our Lord and Savior Jeff Bezos. Maybe he could turn this platform conservative after he gets rid of Dan Clancy. Who knows? We'll see. And we also got the big JCs fresh out of 40 days in the desert with the devil. Clearly, the devil was able to woo him this time, and he cut his hair. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm the big JC. I'm a center-left liberal. I did take a break for actually roughly about 40 days, but I'm back. I'm back on the scene. I'm raring and ready to go. Personal friend to Hunter Biden, ready to defend him and his father. Tyler's dying in the corner.
Yes, it's Hunter Biden isn't the topic today, but that's fantastic. All right, good. I don't know how y'all got like I looked up earlier today and I go in there. I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of arguing.
Burisma everywhere.
That's all I do.
It's just all legalese about fucking the Biden case. I couldn't believe it. All right, so here's how we're going to start this off. I'm going to read this quick article to y'all, and then we'll just go in order, and then same order we started with, give openings, and then we'll just open it up from there. If you feel like you can't get in, just raise your hand, all the good normal jazz, and we'll get you in. All right, so Trump reveals new homeless policy, tent cities for rehabilitation, and jails for those who refuse. Former President Donald Trump has released the outlines of a new homelessness policy based on banning urban camping, setting up tent cities, and sending people who decline treatment to jail. Mr. Trump is increasingly focused in his current campaign for the White House on rising levels of homelessness in major cities and is taking a characteristically authoritarian approach to dealing with them. In a new video, Mr. Trump proposes banning camping wherever possible, arresting anyone found sleeping in unsanctioned areas outdoors, and presenting people with a choice: either agree to enter treatment programs or go to jail. Violators of these bans will be arrested. but they will be given the option to accept treatment and services if they're willing to be rehabilitated. Mr. Trump said in a recent video, many of them don't want that, but we'll give them the option. Trump's new concept of homelessness' effect on American urban life echoes talking points from Republicans and conservative candidates in municipal elections during Joe Biden's presidency. Crime was a particular issue of emphasis for Republicans during the recent midterm elections and has likewise been a major issue in campaigns for mayor and city council and district attorney positions in cities like New York, San Francisco, Chicago, and Los Angeles over the last year plus. But Mr. Trump's broader emphasis on crime, law and order, and police control dates back to his first run for president. Throughout his career as a politician, Mr. Trump has frequently painted grim pictures of large, diverse U.S. cities and favored tough on crime, punitive approaches to dealing with social issues. To combat homelessness, which is driven first and foremost by high housing costs, Mr. Trump is proposing opening large tent cities or camps where the homeless people would be forced to live if they did not want to go to jail. We will then open up large parcels of inexpensive land, bring in doctors, psychiatrists, social workers, and drug rehab specialists to create tent cities where the homeless can be relocated and their problems identified. Mr. Trump said in the video, but we'll open up our cities again, make them livable, and make them beautiful. It is unclear as of yet how Mr. Trump would fund this plan. The operation of the tent cities alone would likely require a vast amount of money, as it would the employment of doctors and social workers to work with the homeless people. The plan would also likely attract the opposition of civil rights groups over the extent to which it would coerce people into receiving treatment or living in camps. Bans of public camping in the U.S. cities largely have not gotten people off the streets, but rather forced people to move money away from needed social services. Mr. Trump, despite his recent criminal indictment and multiple impeachments during his first term in office as the leader of public candidate for president 2024. This is a little bit of an old article, obviously, but I still want to talk about it because I have to deal with the homeless every goddamn day that they're destroying my property values. So I want to talk about what we're going to do about it. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Let's start with average debate enjoyer. What do you think about this proposal going forward?
It's shit. It's NIMBYism. All it does is take the homeless from here and move them over here out of sight. Doesn't actually fix the problem in any way that not doing it wouldn't either. We already have forced institutions for rehabilitation, forced institutions for penalization. We could already throw them in those places. Just rounding them all up is kind of just taking them out of sight and out of mind. It's a PR tactic. I say we burn the homeless.
Drone
I don't even
drone
know where to
strike
go
the
with that.
border,
All right.
burn the homeless.
Well, yeah, he turned into me. I didn't know that was going to happen tonight, but I'm excited. Lactoid, go ahead, take it from there.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of burning the homeless, but I will say this. I also hate it. And I hate it because it mixes the two things that I dislike the most, social programs and authoritarian governments. And I think this is what this is. It's a mix of the two. I think that the idea of telling somebody that they can't be in a public place is kind of problematic already. And then using the police to force them off there is already more problematic. And then for the uppercut of most problematic, we're paying a bunch of money to them. We're giving them a bunch of free services, and either by putting them in jail, where we pay a fuck ton of money to have them, or we send a whole bunch of social workers that we all have to pay for. I don't see how this isn't a left-wing proposal. I mean, we're just dumping money on this. I think the actual solution to homelessness is hostile architecture. I think this, honestly, this is the way this should be fixed. If you don't want people to hang out somewhere, just put spikes on the benches or something. I don't know. There's a better way than this. This is ridiculous.
Thank you so much, Liberal Cluck.
Yeah, I think that the proposal coming from the federal government is kind of federal overreach, which really isn't a thing for me too much, as I would think it would be for the conservatives on this panel. I do like the idea of getting them services. I don't like the idea of moving their tents from one place to another. That seems like what the debate enjoyer said. It's just moving from one place to another and away from social services, like your article said.
All right, thank you so much, Pentuple.
I haven't really looked into this beyond the proposal you put up, but I actually disagree. I think that moving them, it's not as simple as just moving them. When you move them out of sight, out of the city, I think it will attract less people to fall into that lifestyle. So I think there are elements there that are valuable, even if it was just moving them to another, even though I don't think that's what the proposal does. It also offers a lot of this rehabilitation stuff. I do think the most compelling argument I just heard was about federal overreach. We were looking up some of the stats before stream. Like a quarter of the homeless population is in New York City and in LA. So it does make sense that this is something that they need to address, and that even if we agreed with this, that they would probably have to enforce. As far as like restricting people being in public, I think a lot of the times we're talking about people who are overdosing in public. They're turning the public into their residency. And it kind of strikes me as similar to the sovereign citizen debate, where it's like, you can't prevent my travel. But in my eyes, we've agreed to this as a society that we're going to regulate, driver's license because car accidents are fatal. And we want to, have some regulation there. I think that most people would agree with that. So it's kind of like the same logic here, where it's like, I think that most people would agree, we don't want you setting up a residency in our public spaces in the city. And it's not even necessarily about public spaces, but it's these public spaces in the cities that are being maintained by taxpayers and attracting, drug addicts in the city into that culture. And I think it's growing in part because of that presence, kind of like the broken windows theory in criminal psychology. Like the more presence of them is just going to attract more of the addicts in the area to it. So I actually like the idea. I like the intent. I think maybe this is something that you have to push on a local level, but I certainly don't hate that Trump would try to push this from a federal level. So that's
all right. Thank you so much. And the big JC.
I completely disagree. No. Actually, I surprisingly find myself in agreement with most of the panel. I might take a bit of a stronger stance. This proposal, like most of Trump's proposals with this whole Agenda 47 bullshit, is completely fucking stupid. It doesn't posit any solutions for actually preventing people from becoming homelessness or taking steps towards that. It doesn't do anything to attack the prime driver of homelessness in America, which is high housing costs. And instead, it's opting for, like Tyler said, the sort of NIMBYism approach. One thing I did want to point out, since we're talking so much about cost to taxpayers, I find it very, we'll say, intriguing that Trump mentions opening up large purchases of land to build these tent cities on. Like Pentuple just pointed out, the majority of the homeless population in America is in Los Angeles and New York. I'm not sure what land Donald Trump is considering opening up or whatever to move these people to, or what funds he's planning on using to acquire said land, since, as we all know, land ain't free. But yeah, it's in essence, it's like asking a 5-year-old what they might want to do to solve homelessness after they just saw a homeless person for the first time. So,
real quick, nuke the Pacific Ocean, shift the tectonic plates, cause some magma to come up, create your own land. Trump's new continent. There you go. That being said, I'm sorry, I was actually gonna make a serious point too. that all being said, there, if yes, you are correct that this is kind of. I'm talking to MAGA headquarters, dude, because he's the only one that disagrees. You are correct that this is kind of taking him off the street and putting him in an area. What tends to happen, because we already have that now with homeless shelters, like we literally already have something that does this, functions essentially the same way. Those become cesspools that no homeless actually want to go to because they're riddled with drugs, they're riddled with sex. What we need to actually do is stop pussyfooting around the problem, realize most of these people are on the street because they're crazy or they're drug addicts. So a lot of them are veterans and shit like that. We need to actually address the issue. The economic homeless, I don't think they make up a large percent. I'm pretty sure they don't even make up 25% of homeless
They're
people.
tiny percent.
Yeah.
Well, that goes in line with the treatment options that Trump wants to add as part of this proposal, which, like Lacto said, is a bit of a social program. But I think, like, given the spending we've done, it's like maybe this is more favorable to the type of thing I'd want my money going to, especially with like the drug. I think like I said, a lot of this is because people get hooked on drugs, and I think a lot of people fall into the culture with the other people that are homeless in their area and addicted to drugs. I don't think it's like all. There's a lot of mental health issues for sure. Yeah, I think that's a big driver of homelessness, probably more so than like financial. But I could be totally wrong. I don't want to like stake my whole argument on this.
As someone that's done a lot of heroin, there's no culture around it. That circle that you get down to is something you gradually compromise along the way to find more money for drugs. It's not like there's something you aspire to. It's somewhere you end up at the end of your rope. So even if you take it away, people are still going to be able to hit rock bottom on their own.
I also think it's important when we're talking about homeless people. There's two categories. There's like the chronically homeless, and then like what the
no, there's definitely more than two categories. Like
I
know they're like zombies. There's types.
Okay. I'm saying like in terms of how the HUD categorizes it, right? So there is like the chronically homeless, the people who are like the disrespectful term, like the street urchins, right? The ones that are on the street constantly, they can't get off, they struggle a lot. this group right here, which is what most people think about when they think about homeless, are people who are overwhelmingly like drug addicts, right, or mentally ill. People who struggle a lot to either have the wherewithal to sign up for social services, and definitely don't have the wherewithal to like work, right? That's the main issue for those people. There's also like a large group of people who are not chronic homeless, but are considered technically homeless because they're couch surfing or like they're living out their car, etc. This group is like a much lower percentage is drug addicts or mentally ill people. And so it kind of skews the data a little bit, but this group of people isn't really what we're talking about and what people are concerned about when it comes to the homeless people that you see when you walk outside or walk through like certain streets like in Baltimore or California where they're just like it does look like zombie land, right? They're all like doing the nod and hanging around, and it's I understand that it's scary and everything, but I think that like again, is there any like kind of personal liberty concerns that we have, because I think we're all like pretty pro personal liberty, little some concerns here about having the cops come grab somebody who's on like a public area, not necessarily harming anybody, and like deporting them like a US citizen off to some other
you
piece of
shouldn't be
land.
doing
I mean,
that. Yeah, that's stupid.
That's the main
That's
concern that I have.
insane. Yeah.
I imagine this would come with like being on drugs. They're not just gonna be able to do this to anyone who's like out in public, but like if you have a tent and you are in like consistently setting up this tent in this downtown place, I don't think it's like a liberty violation to say you can't reside here on the public street.
Trump said you have the choice to go to these tent cities or go to jail.
Well, the tent cities are like rehab facilities, right? They're not just like tent cities where you get to go be homeless there.
So, I mean, well, first of all, a tent city. First of all, where's the implication in a tent city? Where do you get rehab center from?
You can't do it in the public space that taxpayers are maintaining. You have to go do it somewhere where.
Like where? Like where? Where are these?
How do you plan on being homeless and a taxpayer?
Look, I have dreams of being a beach bum frequently. Whenever anything stressful happens in my job, I often think about like living on the beach, just drinking all day and doing nothing. Well, now I've paid into taxes more than enough to justify that lifestyle if I so choose.
Well, I don't think that homeless people do that. But like, what about the 6 to 7% of homeless people that are veterans? Haven't they done enough like for their country that you think they're deserving of some intervention from the government?
The government only has so much authority. So when Trump's saying you either get arrested or go to this tent city, what he's kind of saying is it's an alternative to going to jail for loitering or whatever the police would be there for in the beginning. I don't like that. No. I think they should be forced into an institution.
I think you're giving him too much charitability.
Who's going to enforce this? Is it going to be the FBI?
Probably the locals.
No, I think you would just you would just be able to arrest people when they're overdosing in tents in public land, and then
I understand.
The second, third time you'd be sent to a facility.
Lactoid's trying to engage with reality. Where how does Trump actually do this policy-wise? What administration does he use?
Here's the thought I have, right? So like Donald Trump says this, right? Okay, you are now allowed to do this. Now that you're allowed to do this, you think the governments of San Francisco and New York City are going to do this?
Trump probably does.
Oh, well, they might not.
I think that the best thing that the federal government should be doing is providing resources to these local governments to be able to provide a wide variety of different types of homeless shelters that are catered to different homeless people's needs. If you actually think about, like, I heard somebody say something about the homeless people don't go to these shelters because they're shitholes. That's not entirely true. I mean, they are shitholes a lot of times, but a lot of homeless people don't go to these places because they're not allowed to use drugs if they're at these homeless places. So they choose to be on the streets so they can get high. Some of them don't go because you're not allowed to have pets and they have dogs. Some of them are families that need this kind of shelter, and they would need to go to one of these higher, more strict places that don't allow drugs and such. Whereas somebody who's on the street because they want to do drugs might need to go to a place that does allow drugs.
You know where it doesn't allow drugs is America. And if someone has those drugs, they broke the law and they go to jail, or we force them into an institution to get better.
Those are
just like my
laws.
Personal friend.
I want to know what role does this play in, though, to your guys' analysis? Because even if it was just as simple as moving them out into a tent city where they just get to go be homeless over here, one of the big problems facing homeless drug addicts is the the enabling that comes from being able to beg these people beg on the streets. A lot of family members kick these people out and they're like resentful of the fact that people give them money and then they just go spend it on drugs. So like part of this getting, even if it was just as simple as moving them out of the city where they're in this like public space where they're super visible and taking them and putting them somewhere not visible, reducing the, I don't want to enableization or whatever. I don't know if that's a word, but like reducing the ability of the public and like the ability for the addict to have their addiction enabled in that way would also force them to either deal with it or, I mean, like I think there's a level of enabling. And so how does that play in your analysis?
I feel like
the enableization of being so public in the city.
I feel like I don't want to out anybody. I feel like anybody who has done drugs or sought drugs is well aware of the fact that if you need drugs, you will find drugs and you will do literally anything you need to get them. I don't like the problem is, again, this proposal is stupid. It doesn't actually address any problem. It's just, again, it is a child being asked what they would like to do with the homeless situation, having no understanding of the limits of the federal government, having no understanding of the funding of the federal government, and just saying, oh, I'll just wave a magic wand and we'd move them all somewhere else. Why not use,
I don't think this is like a unilateral approach to homelessness.
Well, let me ask you a
There's
question
certainly
here.
other things that we have to address that attack homelessness, but this is addressing where the homeless are and what's enabling the homeless to congregate in these areas. It's a growing population. It's getting worse and worse. And what policies could we implement that would reduce? And I do think it wouldn't be just as simple as moving. I think you would reduce the level of people that are sucked into this culture, that are engaging in homeless drug addiction, basically, which is, I think, primarily what we're talking about here.
People don't choose to be homeless. What the fuck are you talking about?
Those people aren't the problem, though. The people that choose to be homeless, they are.
Nobody's choosing to be homeless.
They're not the ones that are overdosing. Hold on, there are definitely. Hey, hold on. I worked at a pawn shop. There are people who choose to be homeless.
Yeah,
they woke up one day and they were like, "Oh, I'm just going to be homeless. I think I'm going to do that instead of whatever my current."
Yeah, he literally had no responsibilities in life, and he would come into the pawn shop. It was actually funny. He would come into the pawn shop every morning. My boss would give him $20. He would go buy a 6-pack and some food, beg on the street, and come pay my boss back $20.
And then your boss asked him, "Why are you homeless?" And he said, "I just decided to be." Right?
All right.
He was homeless. I mean, he was just homeless.
Did he, yeah, and you asked him why, and he said, "Oh, I just chose to be. It was easier than anything else."
Well,
he lived in the tent. Like,
right, Gibbs is trying to
you could offer him a job and he wouldn't take it, is what I'm saying. Like, if you could offer him routes away from his lifestyle and he was just like happy living in his tent in the woods, getting showers at the local gym.
I think you're reading pretty far into that, so he's choosing it.
Let me ask two questions to this.
No, this guy's name was. I'm just saying, this is an anecdote for sure, but it's like this. Like, I knew this guy.
Yeah, so let me just ask, because I was talking to a friend.
Hope he's good. It's been like 10 years.
Part of the reason I wanted to have this panel is because me and a buddy who used to be homeless and I were talking about this after this came out, and he had a very similar story to what you were saying. Is he just wanted to be homeless? Do we all agree that homelessness is a problem here? Just like show of hands, is homelessness a problem in the United States right now? Like,
yeah.
Well, like, is it like a problem that exists that needs to be solved? Yes. Is it like the biggest glaring problem?
Not the biggest problem, but it's like a problem.
It's just, yeah.
It's certainly not existential, but I certainly don't want anyone that I love to just be like accepting the life.
To choose to be homeless. I don't want any of my family members to choose that either.
Let me frame this.
Exactly, yeah.
The glamorous lifestyle of being an addict on the streets.
So to the people that don't think it's a problem, let me ask, or the people that don't like this fix, let me ask this question, right? What do you tell people? So I recently had Modi staying with me. I don't know if y'all know, this, another streamer. He's from the UK, and I couldn't let him leave to go like to the store after dark because the crime with the homelessness was so bad in the area we're at. And I was like, not good. I don't want this little British kid to get killed, right? What do you tell? How do you justify not doing anything about the homeless if y'all don't think it's a problem to people who are like, oh, there's a lot of criminality happening. It's ruining my property value. It's ruining local businesses because people don't want to shop at those businesses. How do you justify that to business owners and homeowners who are concerned and people in that neighborhood? How do you justify doing nothing about it?
I never said I will do nothing about it. I just said that Trump's proposal is fucking stupid. That's the topic of the panel. Like, I mean, I think that something should be done, absolutely. I just don't think that the NIMBY approach of moving like, we simply take the homeless from over here and we move them to over here. That's not a solution. That's hiding the problem so you don't have to look at it.
JC, I got a question.
I feel like I made a few points that countered that.
If a city has
I feel like I would have heard them.
JC, if
Yeah.
a city has a robust homeless shelter system, and there were beds available in these shelters, would you be okay with local authorities having the authority to be able to tell people sleeping on the street, you have to either go to this shelter or we're taking you to jail?
In all honesty, probably not. Probably not. There's a part of me, like a sort of empathetic part, that goes, well, at the very least, either way, they're ending up with like a roof over their heads, guaranteed, like a bed for them to sleep in, or what. Like, even if it's a shitty jail cot, it's probably better than like a fucking sidewalk or whatever. But I'm not like familiar enough with the day-to-day life of like your average homeless person to even know whether it's a proper assessment. I'd say still probably not. I'm still probably with my boy up here. I don't like the violations of personal liberty whenever it can be helped.
What about the personal liberty of people that wants to be able to go down the street without like having to worry about homeless people, doing crazy things to them?
Well, what do you mean by doing crazy things, like assaulting them?
Well, for example,
well, if you're getting assaulted, call the cops.
Ill, like when I was switching on when I got attacked by a hobo. Like that was a pretty bad thing, right?
Or 3 words technically. The Second Amendment.
Okay, I was gonna say call law enforcement, but I mean, if somebody's actively assaulting you, then there are. Okay. If someone is assaulting you, regardless of whether they're homeless or not, if someone's assaulting you on the street, we already have like processes in place for that. You can either call the authorities, report it to the authorities, or like Lactoid said, if you're packing, make them regret it. But like, if it's like a homeless person like running up to you and like screaming, fuck, I don't know, like whatever.
Do you think you have to be assaulted to feel unsafe?
So you don't have to be okay. You don't have to be. Oh shit! You don't have to be.
Are you guys just like what? Okay, like what should we do?
Let me explain something. So like you don't have to be assaulted to feel unsafe, but like here's the concern. I understand the concern about feeling unsafe, right? And obviously, I feel less unsafe than perhaps other people, just given my size and my respect for the Second Amendment. But at the same time, like you got to be really fucking careful if you're going to start saying, well, this group of people over here makes me feel unsafe, so I'm just going to move them, because they haven't done anything yet to actually like justify making you feel unsafe, other than just be there, other than just exist.
Well,
how
do you think this would be written? How do you imagine that this would be written? Because I imagine this would be written like you are clearly setting up a residence, you have a tent, you are overdosing. Like these are things that it's not just going to be like you're walking down the street. Are you homeless? You must be homeless.
It would be.
That's not going to happen.
It would be laws against sleeping on the street, and laws against using drugs on the street, which is already laws. But stuff like that.
Well, there you go. Like, what the fuck are we even talking about?
There's no laws against sleeping on the street in a lot of cities.
We already have what we need in the books to fix this. Like, all we need to do is enforce it.
Yeah, why are we going to spend a bunch of fucking federal money to buy land?
Hold on. Look at the political affiliation of the DA in every single area that has these problems. They're letting homeless people back out when they do crimes. There's a lot of bail reform things going on.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Recrimination. The homeless wouldn't get the reputation of being violent if they went to jail when they were violent, like everybody else. So you take homeless people and you lock them up for breaking the law. And again, it's not illegal to be on the street and look suspicious, absolutely. But as soon as you start camping there, you broke the law. As soon as you have drugs on you, you broke the law. So put them into either in the penal system or forced rehabilitation, and that solves. We have this on the books. We do it in red cities all the time. It's been like this since the 80s. Bring back more mental institutions. That was one of Reagan's flaws. Bring those back. Stuff them in there too. Problem solved.
Are we putting homeless people in jail forever? Like
until
It's not like all homeless people are going to be swept up in this anyway. Like if you pass this law, like there's 40 people in my downtown like sleeping in the streets right now. They're going to move because they don't want to get arrested. They don't want the cops to come up and fuck them. So they're going to go find somewhere else to go set up. And each one of those individuals is hopefully going to find a better place than the public space outside of our stores and businesses where people are also like. It's just
why would you expect
the point
that?
is moving them. Even if it is
as
simple as moving them. And like you said, you never addressed like the enabling factor. The visibility factor that attracts people into this culture. Well, he did. I just want to make clear.
I want to just ask a simple question real quick.
Well, he's scoffed at it.
Like, so you've argued for something I was kind of like hinting at to earlier when I was asking Lactoid about the property right. Would you think there would be a significant economic impact by removing the homeless from certain areas?
Yeah, I think it would be a positive economic impact everywhere that you removed homeless people from. I mean, that's a given.
Does anybody disagree with
Wait,
that?
based
Are you
on
gonna see a
what?
net positive because of where they end up, but I think like a lot of times, I mean,
It's not that I doubt the
you know,
claim. It's just kind of a
people
big
end up
one. Like,
homeless.
do you
Some
have
of these people
something
are
you're looking
assholes
at?
and
Or?
their families
By the way,
don't want to help them. So do I want to either?
Your concern about the property values, I think, is actually playing a little bit into Tyler's point about this is maybe primarily motivated by NIMBYism.
I didn't make this about property values. I think it's a relative factor that people are going to be concerned about, and I think that's. I think when
Isn't
you
that
blame
literally
it
the
as
question?
NIMBYism, I think you're the one who's kind of doing it because it's not in your backyard right now, and you're calling out people who it is in their backyard.
You don't know where I live.
Well,
Look,
to be fair,
Sorry, Lactoid. Sorry, Lactoid. You don't have the lived
experience.
experience. This is a lib cuck debate
I-
now. You don't have the lived experience to speak on this issue.
Look, hold on. I think that being around homeless people builds character because you learn to say no, right? They will beg. They will panhandle all the time.
You're not
and you
wrong.
can walk past them, and you got to feel comfortable looking at them and saying no. And in fact, there's actually a hidden perk here because it drains money from like left-wing people because they're giving all their money away, and then it reduces their war chest for political elections.
Shit, I think Lactoid just won the debate.
Hey, baby, you got $1. I'm like, all right, here's your $1.
Okay, I'm really curious. Like,
I don't get them a
when we
dollar.
talking about
Absolutely not.
enabling the lifestyle, that's all we're talking about is like giving money to homeless people.
No, that's not what we're talking
No,
about.
I'm just saying, like, there's like an element, like if you move them, even if it's just a matter of moving them, the cities is where they're most enabled. The public space.
Enabled how? I literally just asked that. Enabled how? You need to elaborate on that term. You can't just keep throwing it out.
Enabled by people giving them money.
Okay, we
Like,
already
this is what
addressed
a lot
that.
of families
Yep.
resent.
I said, is that all we mean
Okay.
by enabled? Is people give them money sometimes?
I mean, we could probably.
Well,
could
you phrase it as people
keep going
giving
that
money
direction.
sometimes. So listen. I work in a prison. I've actually talked to a few of these people that ended up in prison, and the one woman told me that she made in Northern Virginia $50 an hour doing that shit. So it's not just like people giving money sometimes. It's usually people giving a lot of money a lot of times, and and also I'm doing an internship with this nonprofit called Region 10, and I was talking to the lady about that the homeless problem where I live, and she was talking about how these people they have shifts in which they would take turns going on certain streets.
I was talking to a lady who
And-
said that they don't do that though. So
Okay, this is a Region 10 person who actually works with these.
I
communities.
also worked in a prison and I talked with homeless people that ended up there and they said they all committed crimes and they deserved it.
Okay, so you're lying, and I'm telling.
Wait, no, you're lying. Actually, you're lying. You're a liar, sir.
Wait, hold on. Even if this is true,
I'm
even if this is true, like to me, the problem is like it's very similar to OnlyFans. Like the problem is idiots giving their money away, not necessarily the people getting the money. We should be like getting angry at the people who are giving their money away because you're being very irresponsible. Why is it that somebody can make $50 an hour doing this? It's because people have like a complete misconception about what they should be doing when they're panhandled, right? That what they should be doing is just walking right past them.
So basically, why are we criminalizing homelessness when we should be criminalizing OnlyFans subscribers?
Hey,
Hold on.
But Tyler, no.
If we could correct this issue simply by getting everyone to agree to stop handing people in this, if you're homeless and you're in a space that the public doesn't want you, stop giving them money. Don't let them sit around at like the subway stations. Don't let them sit around all these public places. That might work, but it hasn't worked. So that's why I'm open to
That's the police's job.
proposals.
And the
No, I
police
don't-
make that work. I don't.
I don't think that's going to work because, like you said, if these people want drugs, they're going to get drugs, and they're probably going to turn to like more criminal activities in order to get those drugs.
I do still think that there's a level
gonna
of difficulty and burden that you can create here that has an effect on how many people do that. And I think some people probably takes till the end of their road with drugs and access to actually finally accept rehab and address it. So
Yeah. You guys
the
talk like
enablement is huge.
Hey, what drugs have
guys
you
talk like
done,
a bunch of
Pentuple?
people-
How many?
How
people
familiar are you
We
with
did-
this?
You
Like,
guys talk like a lot of people that haven't got the copper wire and hubcap stolen in your life.
yeah, like
These
what the
people will
fuck?
find a way. We need to stop coddling them and arrest them for when they commit crimes and throw them into detention centers until they are no longer drug addicts. Do not allow them to be on the streets.
We could also
Make
make
it
them
illegal.
work too.
Prison-
Like as
prison
part of the
doesn't work.
as part of the punishment, we could like make them work, and then they get them into the habit of doing a
So,
job, right?
Yeah.
It's
And-
interesting that you say that, Lactoid, because I always like to come to debates not just to attack an argument, even if that's obviously what I'm here to do tonight. I like to have a proposal to go along with it. I like the idea of having a government jobs program that provides an address for homeless people. One of the biggest things that makes, at least as someone who's not super like personally familiar with the issue, but having like looked into it a bit, one of the biggest things that seems to be like a barrier to re-entering society for a lot of homeless people is like that address. Like having somewhere you can put on like a job application, having somewhere that you can like sign up for services for like giving like a government jobs program that, yes, of course, taxpayer funded, but so is fucking Trump's proposal. Puts them like in a fucking hotel.
So is welfare.
Yeah, I mean like this, but at least this is a
rather than
track
working for the
upward.
money.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Oh, and again,
No,
I don't know. I didn't look
I-
super into that, but
I-
yeah.
I somewhat agree with that. I think that it'd be good to like, again, I think that making them work for the money that they get, it would be better than just giving them shit.
Sure.
Or spending a bunch of money on like free social services. But when it comes to the address, I mean, that could potentially help. I'm a little bit skeptical about how useful that really is. Anecdotal experience, a friend of mine actually had this idea of, he bought into this idea of like the homeless people are only homeless because they can't get their mail and because they can't shower and everything.
Well, I didn't
so he
say
had
that.
this business idea where he was, well, I know, but he had this like, I pie in the sky kind of idea. So his business model was he would buy apartments and then move in homeless people and get them jobs and then take a percentage of their income over time. The problem is the homeless people would rip out the copper wiring.
Yeah.
Disappear after a few days.
This would
So
have to be like a
obviously wasn't very
government-led kind of
So
initiative.
he's not in business still, is he?
No, he lost a lot of money very quickly.
No, this would have to be like a
yeah,
government-led
it was very-
initiative, so you could have like that backing
I
behind
could
it.
sell him if he's still in
The
business.
address
That was the
thing
guy I
is-
want to talk to.
The
Sorry, go
address
ahead.
thing is true for people who aren't chronically homeless and with mental health and substance abuse issues. The address thing does make it harder for people who actually want to get out of homelessness to get into homelessness. But you were saying earlier that homeless people don't want to be homeless, and it is for the chronically homeless. This is kind of a choice that they're making. It's either that or they're mentally ill in some way, and it's probably a mixture of both.
So can we say that someone who's
They're
can we
addicted
say that someone
to-
who's
they're
addicted to a drug
in
is
home.
making a choice in like their
Yeah,
right state of mind?
So if you want to argue, that
Would a
they're
lawyer
making
say
the
that?
choice because if you want to argue that,
There's
well,
two,
yes,
we
a
can
lawyer,
argue.
Yeah.
no, a lawyer.
No, I
would
think
say that-
that's a great point. I think that's a great
wait.
point.
If
We have
somebody's
two lawyers we could ask.
if somebody's addicted to drugs and they murder somebody over that, yes, a lawyer would say that they were responsible for was making that.
They were
choice.
acting in their
Well,
hold on.
why don't we
That's
ask
not what
the
I said.
lawyer?
I said
Yeah.
rights is someone who is addicted to a
classic
drug
defense.
in their right state of mind.
I think
That's
that was
the
gonna be
answer I was
answer,
looking
yeah.
for.
Yeah.
I just don't like this
depends.
blanket
It's
painting of
definitely-
homeless people making the choice to remain addicted when like
I think
it's obvious
I think
that's not
choosing
true.
to be homelessness is inherently like illogical and like I assume like I this is maybe extreme, but it's like I do think that I think if I'm trying to categorize who's mentally ill and who's not, if you're like I choose to be homeless, I don't think there really is like a reasonable logical. Even that guy was describing earlier, it's like I don't think it's necessarily this person's like in their best mind state either. But
Kitty cat.
it's just like I think that these people are actively like they're not all interested in bettering themselves, and
Yeah,
it's
no,
not
yeah,
all
that's
insurmountable bad luck that brought them here. A lot of
yeah,
it is
I
like
think-
intentional
I-
decision making. They'd rather be on drugs than pay their rent, and then they get evicted.
That's
And it's
exactly
like
it.
you could give them their rent payment, and they're still going to do the same thing over
Wait,
again.
why did
So
you just
have to
say?
figure out how
Why
to
did
get
you
these
just
people
say?
to
I don't
help
think it's
themselves.
rational, but they choose it, so I'm still gonna hold them fully responsible
So,
for it.
No, well, that's not what I'm saying.
That's
I'm
what
saying,
you
like,
just said.
that you have to you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped is what I'm saying. So like,
Why not- wait,
it's like
what?
there are people who don't want to be helped. There are people who don't want to be helped,
That is
I
absolutely.
would-
but you have
actually-
to
I would-
get them to want help first, which is what I'm
So,
saying. You got to like get them out of this situation because right now a lot of them just don't want help. So when we're talking about like people who want to be homeless, we're not talking about people who want to be without a home. We're talking about people who don't want help. They'd rather be high. They'd rather get their next fix than get help.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the,
just
Like this
for-
conversation wouldn't even be interesting to them, even though it's entirely about them, because they are literally just focusing on their next fix.
Just to touch on that, I want to bring up some so I've had two friends that like experienced homeless that I've tried to help in my life. One of them, his thing was he got his life together eventually, but he loved being homeless. What he'd do is he'd go get a bunch of meth and go pick up a like hotel on the weekend and some hookers and just spend all weekend with meth and hookers. Like he didn't want to change his
all
lifestyle.
right, I'm
'cause-
choosing to be homeless.
Yeah, that was his lifestyle. He'd just go beg all week, and then on the weekend he'd go get some hookers and go like to the thing, like crazy. And then the other friend and this girl, I tried like basically getting her clean. I tried giving her a place place, live all this shit, and like she like ended up just keep getting more and more deep in the drugs. She'd appear like a year later and be like, I want to get clean now, then do it, and then like you would last like 3 weeks, and then it was like done. Like she'd be going back, and it was like they were making a conscious decision. It's a sickness and it is bad, but it's like, what do you do about these people that chronically choose this? It's like, should something be done? Should they like be removed because they're clearly not capable of doing this on their own, or like because there's no like because they're either choosing to do it and they have the choice, or they're choosing to do it either like if they're too far gone. What do you do about that group of people?
You don't know when they're so far down that slope that it's no longer rational decision making and an addiction that's an illness that's actually.
I mean, we could probably. You don't think that there's like level you can like be like, okay, if you're exhibiting these symptoms, that like this person needs to be removed from the streets?
Well, you're talking about like addiction, right?
Sure, or like choosing to be like chronically homeless. I mean, it can be either or. You either choose
But
to
if
do
somebody,
it.
but if somebody chooses, maybe some people might say this sounds ignorant. I don't think it does. Like if you have somebody who chooses like addiction, to some point, like again, why is it my business what they do like with their time?
Well, if it's hurt, say you own a business, you wouldn't be
We're
mad
supposed to be doing things for that kind of thing, but I do think that this goes to the
that triggers the fuck out of me.
We're allowed. I just think it's like the type. Okay, this is
capitalism.
The liberty question is fair, but I think that the liberty question isn't so relevant. We're talking about where these homeless people are, and not just like saying they have to be in this place. It's just saying they can't be in these places that are highly trafficked, funded, maintained by taxpayers. It's like that's just like a start. I mean, you're right. This is not going to solve homelessness. But it's
architecture.
Yeah, I want to talk about hostile architecture because that's another fucking stupid solution. Why should my tax dollars pay for a park bench I don't want to sit on?
But it's ugly, and I don't like.
Why should my tax dollars pay for a park bench I don't want to sit on?
I don't want to have
benches
homeless architecture.
No, the benches are just at a different angle and they have more armor.
Right, but what if instead of having those benches, we just let the police tell them, "Hey, you can't move it." The same thing is not letting.
Yeah, we already have cops on the payroll.
Same thing.
Paying the cops is going to cost more than like welding a single.
No, you just add it to their. They're already going around the city. What do you? I mean, they're already.
In the city.
They have to add this.
Also,
cops aren't like walking around on a beat these days. No, they're driving.
Also, it's not like
setting up a tent outside.
It's not like hostile architecture deletes homeless people, right? It doesn't delete them. It just makes them go somewhere else. You're proposing the same solution, just with different steps.
But like,
no, hold on. Whoa.
Well, I just don't think there's. I don't know why you're scoffing at the idea that moving them isn't a huge part of it.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper and it's important because it's not actually an infringement upon personal liberty. You're not having the government come and like grab you and remove you. It's just that the environment that you're in is just not conducive to you sleeping there.
Like nobody's mad about homeless people that they're not seeing. We're not mad about the people. We're mad about the people that are in visible, highly trafficked areas.
That's fucking inhuman, dude.
About like going and arresting people for being homeless.
I'm not even trying to do the moral shit, but Jesus Christ.
Let me ask you this, because you said you don't care if it's visible. So like, I'll give you another real world example. So every 2 weeks, the cops come and clear out this area right in front of my house. There's a big parking, like it's a big like shopping area, and there's right across from there's an underpass. And every 2 weeks they come in and clear out the underpass because it turns into a tit city. And these guys
make too much money to live by one of those, dude.
And that's because multiple properties.
Yeah, but he plays Warhammer, dog.
So they listen. So then they sprinkle into the surrounding communities, and so you have like, hey, you have these people setting up tent cities right in front of your business. They're right on this public sidewalk, and they're like in the public area, and you can't do anything. And it's literally dangerous to like walk over to like any of these businesses. Like, why? What do you propose to do about that? If because hostile action is not going to solve that in those areas, what are y'all proposing to do for these business owners? It's not just property values. It's like you're hurting their bottom line. Like, are you anti-capitalist?
Why not just go in and arrest them?
Because there's no anti-camping.
Isn't loitering a crime in some places?
Yeah. Pass a law to make whatever they're doing you don't like illegal, as is just fine with.
Well, isn't that what Trump is trying to do? Is that not what Trump's trying to do?
No, it's not what Trump's trying to do.
Big of a jump to fix this.
Is criminalizing for them for being homeless and not technically doing anything constitutionally wrong. Something outside the parameters of the Constitution is what he's criticizing. What he's saying is like, if there's somewhere they're not supposed to be, they're loitering, they're camping in the city property outside designated areas, you can put them into the penal system with that alone. And that alone can get them, okay, you're a drug addict. Well, now we have a reason to put you into the rehab system and funnel them to their appropriate place to be helped.
I'm just not following the logic where Lactoid says that he's not okay. He's with me on like not infringing on personal liberty, but he is okay with building architecture that is specifically designed to discourage certain acts in public spaces. What?
Who's going to build the architecture?
I have no idea. Ask him.
Is that private or is that
I think. Hold on. So, I think cities. Look, we can challenge the idea of just having public works generally. If all this was privatized, the solution would be easy.
Okay, Ron Swanson.
You
could
just trespass whoever you wanted off your property. So obviously, this discussion is predicated on the idea that we're going to have public property, and I'm not 100% on board with that. But let's just assume that it's the case. If we're going to have public property, I think it's perfectly rational for like when we're building these, benches or having these like areas and stuff. It's rational to say, look, we have the right to build what we want in this public area if we're going to be paying for it. And we're not violating anybody's constitutional rights by putting certain objects or certain things in certain places. If we want to have a bunch of spikes because we think it looks good under an overpass, we should have the right if it's a public space. And it just so happens that those spikes actually prevent people from camping out under there as well.
Do we think it's an infringement on like free speech when people like Nick Fuentes don't have a platform?
Depends why.
So spikes under an underpass and also underneath every single building that has a overhang, and also on the sidewalks where they're sleeping, and
our cost less than Trump's proposal.
I'll give an example they do here. Like bus stops have like multiple like arms that are like solid right through the middle, so nobody can lay on the bus stop seat.
No,
easy solution.
What you were just saying, Gibbs, is that they're sleeping outside of your business on the sidewalk. Like,
sure.
How are you going to make that uncomfortable? Like, you have to put something.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah, how do you do that?
4x6 area.
Yeah, would you put like bumps in the bumps in the sidewalk? I don't think.
Even then, they're just going to buy an air mattress and put it over top of the bumps.
That's a good point too. Air mattress
with sharks.
No, stop. I agree. Like the sidewalk issue. Like the sidewalk immediately outside your business, I guess is going to be an issue. But like, I would even prefer some kind of like, limited right for people to remove people from the sidewalk outside their business, as opposed to have the feds do it, right? You could just give businesses the right to remove like homeless people.
What does remove mean here?
Well, they could trespass them. They go out and say, you have to leave. And then they're going to say, we're not going to leave.
Then they could call law enforcement.
Then I'm going to call.
As long as we're not Second Amendmenting people on our front stoop.
Lactoid, do you know who Tua Pri is on YouTube?
I don't.
He's like a First Amendment auditor. He goes around and like films businesses from like the street or whatever, and it's whatever. But the point is, like, I think the liberty interest is more affected the way you're describing it, where it's like, let's just give businesses the power to trespass whoever they want on the outskirts of the public zone surrounding their property, like expanding that ability, because they can do that with the people that come into their business. You're expanding that outward.
What if
That's more than just saying, let's let the police say, you can't loiter here, you can't set up a residence here and sleep here.
Well, here's the solution to that, right? You can simply say that we're going to give businesses a limited right to trespass people if they're outside their business, but only for these certain circumstances. And the circumstances could include camping, otherwise being a nuisance, like, pissing and shitting on the street, right? Stuff like that. Businesses can, at that point, trespass people, but otherwise they can't.
I feel like,
because it's not technically their property.
I feel like
that would be a better solution than having the feds do it.
When we're talking about like limited rights, though, I feel like it's difficult because like the more and more like, because it's I almost agree. I don't think it's something that can exist in reality, because I feel like if you like put specific criteria for like, well, you can trespass them for this, but you can't for this, they're gonna figure out like a loophole around it. Like, humans are smart. We're smart animals.
This is the problem with all laws. This is going to be the problem with Trump's law too. This is the problem with all laws. Yes, people are going to find loopholes, but again,
I think that
you patch them when we find them, right? And what this prevents, honestly, is it prevents some kind of like wide federal effort. And it also prevents, let's say that like I own a piece of property and I don't really give a fuck if there's a bunch of homeless people on it. Then like I don't have the government coming and telling me that I have to like move the homeless people, even if I don't care if they're there.
Okay, so I think that your solution is also missing the point of how do we actually get these homeless people help. And I
don't care about that.
Yeah, I know you don't give a fuck about that, but me as a bleeding heart liberal does give a fuck about that. And I would love to see a system where we have, like I said, a wide variety of different types of homeless shelters that have resources that they are, like Trump was kind of proposing, they have to go to these places or they do get thrown in jail because they shouldn't be sleeping on the sidewalk.
As a bleeding heart neoliberal, I want all of that, but only so they can get back to fucking work. Make more money.
Yeah, sure. At the end of the day, these homeless shelters are working to get them back.
No, I know I'm
into
shit posting
society
you.
in a pro-social way.
I mean, I was serious, but yeah.
I also, again, from a drug user perspective, people will go into these shelters. They'll go to a methadone clinic for 2 weeks, take the dones, get all fucking unstrung out, back to their norm, and then as soon as they're back and ready to go again, jump right back into the drug game. You cannot make them just walk in, walk out at your own leisure. You have to hold people there.
Yeah, you have to contain them. Yep.
Yeah. So basically,
Like
just go back to
camp.
what we do in red states already, and what we did in the 80s and 90s because of the Joe Biden based ass neoliberal crime bill. We just go back to the standard we already had. We kick Larry Krasner out, we kick Alvin Bragg out, and we put in actual DAs and we fix the problem. Kind of boring, you know? That's why I said burn them all.
No,
Well,
that's
hold on a second. Wait.
I feel like
In
the
these red
Geneva
states-
Conventions
wait,
when I have a word about
in these
that
red
one.
States,
Well, also
in
we're,
these
we're
red
joking
states-
Twitch for anybody watching. We're not condoning. any
Yeah,
violence or anything
in
like that.
in a video game that doesn't violate TOS, because I think Minecraft and
Yeah.
Roblox both do now.
It's cool, Twitch. I'm just talking about the Jews.
No,
I
God
got
damn
a
it.
question. I got a
Tyler.
question about the red state solution. I got a question about the red state solution though. Are they containing them in a treatment facility, or are they just throwing them in prison?
Like we have forced.
Well, the Trump one, the Trump one is proposing twofold. One, he's proposing anybody that needs rehab or whatever, they're gonna have facilities, they're gonna have like rehab psychiatrists on the thing in these tent cities that they removed it. So he's trying to remove crime. He's trying to get these people off the street and get them like psychiatric help. And then if they refuse that and they refuse to like cooperate, and he goes and catches them like being homeless again, then he jails them.
Did you notice how he didn't say anything about like
That's just
security
being
for the tent
homeless again.
cities?
Yeah,
Like ostensibly, if we're moving these homeless people into these tent cities or jail, we're gonna want them to stay in the tent cities. But he only mentioned like rehab and medical workers. He never said anything about like how we're gonna keep them from just leaving the tent city and going right fucking back to where they were before. Like again,
probably will.
5-year-olds answer
Realistically,
to
they
how do
will
we fix
relax.
homelessness.
Would
Okay,
putting- hold
can
on,
I-
would
can I-
putting
can I
walls-
ask-
would you think putting walls up around like the camp would work? From keeping them from going in
What?
and
What
out?
is it with you MAGA guys and
You love
walls? You
walls,
guys are
right?
like autists with trains. You're obsessed.
Okay, wait. Can I ask you
Would that work?
serious question though? Let's say I go to a park and I eat a big lunch and I'm look at my watch and I'm like, you know what? I got 30 minutes left. I'll take a quick nap on this bench here. Let's just say, and then the cops show up. Okay, would you like? How are we going to distinguish me from an urban camper?
Why the fuck are you taking a nap in like there, not like in a Barnes and Noble?
Are you on?
Why the fuck
hard
can't
drugs?
he? It's
Are you sober?
Not in
Are you
a Barnes
sober?
and Noble.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I
you
would-
just like
in a Barnes. Wait, was that the example?
Let's say I'm not sober. What business is it of yours whether
Okay.
I'm sober or not?
Are you
I
on
would
alcohol,
just-
sir? Are you on
I would-
fentanyl? Are you overdosing? Do you need Narcan?
Let's say I've had like it was like long lunch, one of those like 3 martini lunches, okay? And I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, you know what? I got 30 minutes until like I gotta do work, so I'm just gonna take a
Yeah, I
nap
feel like
right
the
here.
cops
would
would just
imagine-
treat you
I
like a
would
drunk
imagine-
walking around. I
Okay,
feel like
I
the
would-
cops aren't
I
gonna like the
actually
cops are
answered
not gonna
one.
have that hard of a time determining who's like a drunk bar goer and who's clearly like a drug addict sleeping in the
Yeah,
street.
what
You
if
can
it's a
tell by the
black
way-
guy?
you can tell by the
Kind of
way they
leaves
look,
it up
you
to
can tell by the way
discretion
how
of
clean
the
they are.
officer.
Tell by the way they look. That
100% you can tell by the way they
bothers
look.
me.
Fucking.
You're telling me if I showed you pictures
We're
of
gonna write
people
that into
walking
the
out of
law.
a
Are we gonna
bar
go
and then
back
pictures
into
of people who are
fucking,
sleeping in the street, you wouldn't have a
oh,
100%
policy.
accuracy telling me which category those people are in?
We're gonna go back to
I would
stop
have
and
high
frisk,
accuracy,
but
I would
instead it's
not
for
have 100%
alcohol
accuracy,
levels.
Okay.
Yeah, you would. Yes, you
No,
would.
hold on. And also, how are we going to write that into the law? Like, oh, if the cop...
The people coming out of the bar they're well dressed, they don't
Out of
rip
the-
clothes, they're not wearing 5 coats.
Hold on. So let me ask you this.
Wait,
I-
have you? Wait. Has Pentuple actually
I-
seen a homeless person? Does he think they all look like they do in TV or some shit?
No, that was just funny.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, but they already arrest people for that. Like, I had a buddy at college who was sleeping in the backseat of his truck, turned on the car to get some AC because he was sleeping out there because he was wasted. I was going to drive him home, and then we come out there and he's being arrested for like
That's
you know,
bullshit.
Yeah, he had a bad lawyer. But
Sitting
yeah,
in
he
a
got
parked car.
DWI,
Yeah.
And yeah, he was passed out in the back seat and they got him. And I was like, that's shitty. And like, I'm like, yeah, this is bullshit. That's probably overreach, right? But they're not gonna argue in a college town. And I like, then I see people like here where I live now in San Antonio, people be like passed out like on the side with a bottle in their hand, and like the cops will literally be over there. They'll like talk to the person next to them, just walk on by, they'll wave, and they'll like know these guys. It's like they're in cahoots. They don't give a shit. These people are drunk in public. Why do you have it as law?
Why should I care?
I would
Yeah,
imagine,
drunk in public.
to answer Lactoid's question, I would imagine.
I like being drunk in public.
To answer Lactoid's question is, I would imagine that there's going to be some level of like discretion on the part of police if you're just sleeping on the bench and they haven't seen you around sleeping on the bench very often. They'll probably wake you up and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And you're like, "I'm just taking a nap."
They'll review their log of people they've noticed sleeping on that bench.
No, hold on. Cops will know you if you're like a problem. For sure, I get that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, right. That black guy that fell asleep on the bench, he's a lawyer, but I don't know.
My problem is, again, the like, let's just take a moment. It's hard, right? But pull yourself away from these people are obnoxious when you're walking by them on your way to the store, as most of us normal people are, encounter them. But imagine instead, like, you're just minding your own business and some fucking cop, you're not allowed to sleep on this bench. You have to go to a tent city or jail. Like, bro.
Well, they just tell you to leave. I think it'd be like, go. You can't stay here.
Like,
then let's do that.
Instead. I'm gonna go.
That's what they're gonna do.
Somebody like you would be like, I'm gonna go home instead. Like, because
okay, and then they say, I don't believe you. I don't believe that you have a home. Now I'm taking you to the tent.
Well, I think
we're not talking about making.
It's like the third or fourth time maybe they find you, and they're like, okay, this person's clearly like fucking drugged out and sleeping in the streets and won't get out of here.
What if I get caught 3 or 4 times drinking in public? What's wrong with? See, this is what I'm saying.
Then you're in the category of people that need help.
No, not true.
Go to the tent city, Lactoid. We're sending you.
I'm salaried. I can do what I want.
You just
the drunks yearn for the camps.
The streets over and over again.
I don't know. I am really concerned about how this is going to affect people from a personal liberty perspective. I think it's like people just don't want to look at homeless people, and I get that, but at the same time, we have to remember like what the role of the government is, and the idea of them coming and fucking with me when I'm doing nothing besides just existing on a place bothers me.
Well,
it's not like they're getting homeless people who are like out in the woods. Like I said, this is going to be places that are like highly trafficked. This isn't like just the element involved here is not just that they're homeless. It's that or even just that they're in a public space. This is going to be like you're in a place that's being maintained, that's highly trafficked. Like, you can't stay here. This is not going to be implemented against, and I don't expect to be implemented against homeless people who are like out in the woods that are like not even visible. Because like you said, the cops aren't expected to go around and parole for homelessness. This is just gonna be like when the cops see people in the city and they're clearly just setting up a shop here. They've been living here for a week. Like, we can deal with that now. We can, and it is in part moving them is a part of the solution. Like you said, it doesn't solve the problem of homelessness, but the idea that it's like moving them is part of it.
So you're okay with the president you're okay with the president making a proposal for an issue that doesn't address the issue?
Well, hold on. Let me ask this.
I don't think you can solve addressing the issue in other ways. I think there's a lot of things that go with this.
There could be like 2 issues here. One could be the homelessness itself, and the other could be the concerns of these people in these areas. Like, and you could solve one of them while not being able to fix the other one, or at least attempting to fix the other in some way. Do y'all think that's like falls in this realm with this proposal?
Kind of what I want to get to
go ahead, Tyler.
is we're kind of just imagining what this proposal is going to look like. So what Trump is doing is advocating for this on a federal level, basically only passing it as federal law. It's not going to affect states. It's almost a political move to incentivize Republican-led areas to maybe adopt a similar policy. What we would practically see probably is something like them using the laws that they already do, panhandling, camping, things like that, to get people into the system and then say, we're either going to take you to jail for this thing you're doing wrong, or we're going to let you go to the area over there that we isolated off that allows for you to publicly camp. You can go over here and publicly camp. You can walk around over here during the fucking day and do your thing, absolutely. But when it comes time for you to set up your little homeless shanty and do your drugs and your unsolicited sex with your Lucy condom, you have to do that over there, are we told. And that's probably what it's actually going to look like. They're not just going to pick somebody up off the street like bum fight throw them in a van, and then drop them off there.
I still can't believe that was a fucking thing. I'm only 24.
Well-
Holy shit, I can't believe that was a fucking thing.
Oh, it was so. By the way, if you actually, I remember that happening, and bro, it was so funny because people actually, it's kind of like when Abbott sent. This is a little off topic. When Abbott sent people from the border to other places, it actually really made people re-examine Dr. Phil pretty heavy because he's like made some good points. Like, what's the difference between what you do and what I do? Like, you're exploiting these people, and I was like, that was based. It was based. It was crazy, especially when he had the whole like Dr. Phil suit on. It was good stuff. Good stuff. All right, sorry about that. I don't know how we got to that. All right, so let me bring up another thing. This is something that was concerning me. Trump has also proposed with his new border czar moving people up to 20 million people to Rwanda, right? With his immigration plan.
Wait, I didn't know
Now-
about this.
No,
You gotta
it's
catch
not.
up
That
real
was a
quick.
meme, Gibbs.
No, it's not. It's
We're
not.
deporting everyone to Rwanda.
Yeah, he says it's a whole facility. I've seen it. The 3 other things. It's not just a meme. It's gone.
The
or
whole
whatever.
facility's in Rwanda.
Well, first
Yeah,
of all, I
that's
see
what
one
they're-
massive
apparently
problem,
they
which is this
contract
came
with
from a
UK.
British
UK
political
Rwanda.
party.
But that's not the point. That's not where we're going with this. Hypothetically, if that was true, that would be one of the biggest, I don't know, undertakings of migration in history. How would that factor in with something like this? If he's building 10 cities for the
Why
homeless,
Rwanda?
and then because they have a
This is-
contract with
Because
them
that's the one the
already to
Tories
host.
were talking about.
Yeah, the
He's
UK
just
already has,
stealing
deal with
British
them.
policy. It's the most
He
un-American
literally-
thing I
he
could think
literally
of.
He's literally taking a UK idea
Fuck.
because Rwanda offered to do this for them because they're broke as shit, so they'll take.
Wait. So you're saying there's gonna be like a bunch of like Mexican immigrants in Rwanda?
Hell yeah, brother.
I would
America
no
too,
joke,
Rwanda style.
Those people will literally take over the countries. What I think will happen if we did that, they're gonna be like, we're in charge now. Like listen, I'll take Tren de Agua and the cartels over anything they got going on Rwanda.
Big is
but they-
Rwanda.
Wait. I just gotta say, like it's bizarre, but can you imagine like being
That's
the
not where we're
first
going
ones?
with this.
The first ones off the plane, like walking out, and it's fucking Rwanda, and like you're like, what the fuck?
Ali is in the waiting room, by the way.
Oh, hell
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll bring that. That's great.
Rwanda's
So
only
part of the-
10,000 square miles. We're gonna fit all 20 million of them on the fucking.
Yeah, is this a real thing?
This is
This is a
a
real thing.
based,
Real thing.
I have a point for bringing this
based
up, though.
God King.
The point is, we can come back to that if we want to in a little bit here, because it's so based. But here's all right. If he's doing that, where is he going to get the money to fund these camps?
Oh, deficit spending. That's what he loves doing. We know that from his last 4 years.
And who's going to be the ones doing it? Because
Well,
that's
him.
my next question.
I'm opposed to
these-
shipping everybody to Rwanda. It's a bad idea. Okay, I'm opposed to that one too.
Yeah.
Do you have a
I feel
different
like
country in
logistically
mind,
that makes sense.
Lactoid?
Lactoid.
Again,
I'm with Lactoid on this.
very
I think that
few-
sounds logistically a little.
I'm only
extra
against
and unnecessary,
Rwanda.
honestly.
I'm only against Rwanda, but if someone has a better country, a different one that we could send them to, maybe I could get on board.
Mexico.
Very few homeless.
Who's getting sent where? What
Canada?
people are we talking
We're sending
about?
all the immigrants to Rwanda. Welcome.
That's one of the proposals.
Apparently, that's an actual proposal.
What if we send them to
If you,
Israel?
go on my Discord, if you go on my Discord, there's like 3 articles about it in the politics section. It's pretty.
I don't know. I haven't seen
pretty
Rwanda.
That's
chill
got to
for
be
yourself.
like a small program for like certain.
It must be.
Like what is this?
Let me
There's
see what
no way we're
Rwanda
like
is.
we're just gonna
Listen,
put them all in
it's not much-
Rwanda.
We're missing the point that we're trying. Where's the money coming from, and who's enforcing these agencies?
Hold on.
Us.
So what we're looking at with the homeless thing is how many of these homeless people are actually going to fall under this federal jurisdiction that Trump has the authority to pass this in? And we're looking at maybe like the laws in Washington D.C. are a little funky. I think
Oh,
maybe
that's a good point.
Congress has control over that. Other than that, barely any. So it's going to be a state and local funding thing, and all they're going to have to do is shift. Look at how much California already fucking spends on homeless people, man. They'll probably save money by
Oh, check it,
switching the
Jim.
policy. So I don't know. I don't think much is going to be federally spent at all if Trump adopts that policy. It's more.
Do you think
gonna
he'll do like similar to what Texas did and force like them to use their national guards to do it?
I don't know if he has the.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
a
think you can
president can't
force them.
force a state to do stuff with its national guard, right?
Oh yeah, he can like pull the purse and like.
Well, you can
certain
federalize.
things,
You do have the president does have the authority to federalize the state national guard,
right.
But that would require the president literally like taking control of the national guard of that state and then ordering them to go clear out the home.
Right. He can't like order the governor to use their national guard in a certain way, though. Like specifically, I don't think.
He could ask him to.
Now you can ask.
Yeah,
him
he could
and
ask
he
very
refuses to
nicely. I guess I
federalize them.
forgot about that. That thing
Please,
Trump's very good at is
please
asking for
do
things
it.
very
Because-
nicely.
Hold on. The last time, I'm pretty sure the last time this happened was in Arkansas when the governor refused to desegregate the schools, and then the president federalized the National Guard of Arkansas.
Yeah, my grandfather was
and then forced.
or are you talking about the Little Rock? The Little Rock 9?
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandfather was actually in the 101st. He was there, weirdly enough. Yeah.
Let's let Ali give an intro real quick. Tell everybody who you are, Ali, and what you do, where you're from, and then go ahead and tell us your position on that, like if you're on the Trump proposal for the homeless.
Well, first of all, I go by Sociologic, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all the internet things. I feel like I'm the least informed with the biggest opinion 9 times out of 10. So
Good.
it works
I like
out.
that.
It works out for me. I'm usually always right. What I feel like I forgot. So Trump wants tent cities.
Yeah, he wants to move the highlights. He wants to move the homeless out of the cities. He's going to be banned.
Have we been clear whether the tent cities are rehab facilities or not? Because I feel like that is actually pretty consequential.
This is the proposal. This is I can go and look. I will pull up the thing if I really need to, the video, but I really don't want to. The highlights basically are tents. They're urban camping banned where possible. He's going to build these tent cities, so new Hoovervilles or whatever, and he's going to have psychiatric, medical personnel, and rehab specialists on hand for these people that want treatment, and then the people that don't want treatment and they catch again basically are going to be incarcerated. Is the proposal?
I dropped the link in the group.
Can we at least get like cargo homes? Like I don't want actual tents.
I dropped the link in the group. It's the actual link to like the Agenda 47, like the DonaldJTrump.com, and it has a transcript of the video like in the bottom of the article if anyone wants a quick reference.
By the way,
God
check
forbid
on
we
him using
besmirch
Agenda
the-
47 and not Pirate 2025.
They get
God forbid
46 tarps and a bunch of sticks and duct tape, and that's
No,
Jesus.
that doesn't even.
And then we set them on fire.
Wait. Listen, I'm looking out for Trump here. All right, listen. The guy builds big, beautiful buildings. You can't put his
Nobody's
name
built-
and his aid towards tents.
What if they're
At least
fancy?
cargo homes?
Yeah, what if they say
Like
Trump in
gold.
gold letters on the side?
Yeah, gold letters like gold trim.
No.
maybe like
Listen,
Egyptian cotton
you
sheets.
get used cargo ships. You reframe them, right? You just build the little mini homes. I'm good with that. That works. Community. They'll just like it's just a commune at that point.
You don't think that it like doesn't actually address the issue of homelessness or address like work towards preventing homelessness?
Okay, so my actual thoughts on homelessness is that there's always going to be a population of people that are homeless unless we literally house them. So, like, unfortunately, I've always heard like universal basic income. I'm more pro like universal basic housing, right?
Sure.
At the end of the fucking day, as long as someone has a room they can go to with electricity, running water, and like possibly like internet. Like I don't know how I feel about internet right now. But as long as you have
literally
these things,
communism.
like listen,
Yeah,
man,
hold on, actually.
Well,
I'd rather that
let
than
him
give
finish.
people cash or give people money or give people like
You're saying that's a right, that you think that's a fundamental right that they should have? Is that what you're proposing, Ollie?
I don't know if it's a fundamental right, but like if we can afford it, you know, it's like it's not that hard.
Well, so
it's very doable. We
Yeah,
should do
it's
it.
communism.
something I proposed
The
before.
only-
Something I
Why is it,
proposed.
wait, how is
before-
that communism?
Wait, real quick.
Free internet?
I just wanted to
I
say.
said I don't know how I feel about that. Just I said I don't know.
Free housing. Still.
Well,
you
wait.
know, free
Hold
housing,
on.
Russia.
Ali, something that
only
something I proposed like before you came in here was instead of just giving it like free housing, a government jobs program that also provides residency with an address, where like you're yeah.
All things considered, I think these people should have jobs and eventually pay for the but I'm saying in order to get people off their feet, or there are people who honestly are just mentally unstable, they have no family to like take care of them. Like, yes, at the end of the day, like we should be attempting to take care of people, lest we have people in the streets robbing and screaming at civilians.
Well, if they're robbing them, they should probably just go to jail. I mean,
Well, that part too, right?
but like, yeah, no. Like that's the thing. It's like I'm where you are, but I'm also with Lactoid when I'm like it sounds weird, but like as I
You're
get
afraid of being a communist.
well, no, it's just
I don't want them to get free shit. They should have to work for their
yeah.
shit.
As I get older, like, because I lost all of my shit in an apartment fire like a year ago, and now I own a house, and that was like a big part of that was like help from friends and family, but a big part of it was me busting my ass to like get back to
brother.
where I am. So like I have a
Amen,
lot more of an
yeah.
appreciation nowadays for the value of hard work. However, I want to make it super clear that
Amen.
I want to make it super clear that like a homeless person can't just go, well, I don't want to
a
be homeless
job.
anymore. I'm going to go to McDonald's and get a job. That's why I was like, well, if we have like a government sort of like a federal program where like, hey, you come here, you might be doing like janitorial work at like a government center or something, where there's like plenty of
brain blast. I actually have the solution here, right? Remember all the people that are like that, the immigrants that are doing the agricultural work that apparently the Americans won't do, and like apparently they're getting deported or whatever.
Lactoid wants to replace the immigrants with homeless people.
We have the homeless people pick the strawberries. Seriously, what's wrong with this idea?
Just that those are like private industries, and I don't like the idea of the government like subsidizing private industries to the extent that I'm kind of talking about here, where it's like they're literally providing residency and shit. Like,
there's only 400,000 homeless people in the United States, and about anywhere from 12 to 22 illegal.
Well, how many strawberries could there be?
Hold on.
Okay. It alleviates some of the issue. Okay. We have the homeless people fill the role of some of the deported immigrants.
So,
wait, like 1/40th of it.
We already have a whole government agency designated to getting homeless people off the streets and back to work. We also have grants given by the Housing and Urban Development and several other government authorities to help people get back to work.
None of that shit works if these people don't have a place to sleep, brother. You got to remember, like having a place to go to bed is probably gonna be the biggest benefit to you getting a.
Yes, I'm sure they take that into account because this is like literally the entire point of HUD. So HUD is working. They have halfway houses to get people working, paying really low rent, and then they work their way out of them. The thing is,
how do you guys feel about Section 8? How do you feel about Section 8?
I'm all for government.
I'm opposed to it.
Why are you opposed to it? Wait. Why are you opposed to it? Why are you opposed to it?
Because I'm against government taxation stuff.
Because he's anti-commie, bro.
But you're getting taxed anyway, so that doesn't matter. So build a Section 8 housing.
You're getting taxed anyway.
Make money.
He's got a point.
Be a capitalist.
Hold on. Hold on. You're saying if I was like a land developer, would I do Section 8? Or are you saying how do I feel about Section 8 like in principle?
I mean, in principle, but then if you're like what your actions would contradict your principles, what difference does it make what your principles are?
No. It'd be saying like hold on. There's two different answers.
That's
to this.
not true.
So, yeah. The first answer would be I'm against government spending, right? And obviously, government spending has to be accounted for either through taxation or through increasing the deficit, which overall increases taxation in the long run. Right? It's not good. But you could be against Section 8 on principle. But then, be someone like Gibbs, perhaps, who is like their ultimate principle is making a fuck ton of money, and so that trumps all other principles, right? Well, but like his ultimate principle, like he has a hierarchy of principles, and his ultimate principle is making money. So engaging in building Section 8 housing could work for that ultimate principle, even if he's with me on being against Section 8 housing generally.
Would you engage in building Section 8 housing?
Me?
Lactoid, if given the ability.
I'm opposed to it morally, so I don't think I would. I think that I can make enough money doing non-Section 8 housing.
All right, cool. That's fair. That's valid.
Can you make more money doing non-Section 8 housing?
I don't know.
I'm sure you can. So Section 8, you actually, from my understanding, is Section 8, the overall revenues are actually it's a little bit tighter, but because the money comes from the government, it's guaranteed every single month.
Yeah.
So you don't have to chase people down for rent, basically.
So, hey, Ali, so one of the things that we were talking about before you came on was the idea that some of these people, they're just not looking for help. They just want to get their fix, or they have mental health issues that disallow them. How do we deal with that? If you're offering them a place and they're just not taking it, how do we deal with that?
Oh, I mean, so at that point, if you're giving a place and then they're just at that point you're loitering or you're being a nuisance in the street, and then you go to jail. You're breaking the law at that point. I think if you're giving these people a place to be, and then they're choosing to live in the streets, and then that turns into some type of form of harassment, or whatever this is, like a prolonged thing, then you're at that point. I think that a law becomes.
Well, let's say they don't cross that. So you said if you don't take the housing, but then you go on to like do harassment or like loitering, which are crimes. Like let's say they don't actually commit a crime, they just refuse the housing.
Well, how do you? You're always gonna be loitering somewhere because you can't just set up camp at that point.
Well, not necessarily, not in public spaces necessarily, right? Lawyers help.
This is where I agree with JC. Like, if you're not doing anything wrong and you have no criminal history, and like the cops shouldn't fuck with you. Loitering is a bullshit crime. It's one of these fucking little bullshit crimes that like disorderly conduct too. It's like, well, they don't really know what to get you on, but they just want you gone,
That's
so
what
they
the
figure out
panhandling-
some way.
I mean,
panhandling laws
sure,
too.
if
It's just
someone
to get
wants
you
to
into
go
the system.
camp in the woods, sure, but I feel like setting up camp in public areas would be a nuisance, or like
Yeah,
like,
wait,
to the
so
civilians
Lactoid,
living
to your,
there.
to your point, Lactoid, that you just made, what, like, you're opposed to, like, communities coming together and something like, so you're a libertarian, right? You like these communes, like whole communist Fabian, right? Would you be opposed to these people coming together and they set their law, go, we don't want loitering, so why wouldn't they enforce it? How's that a bullshit law? That seems like that'd be
So-
something the community is coming behind.
Well, no. What I would do
Mhm.
is, I mean, again, going back to my original point, like assuming that we're going to have public property, like I think there, like in this context, I think I think there's problems with like having the cops come kick people out. What I would prefer, I think that you could replace zoning with like HOAs, for example, and you could have a homeowners association have a policy of like within our area, we don't allow urban camping. And if they want to have that like policy on their private property, I'm fine with that.
Would this be
right?
like
You
a
could have
business
communities-
owners
no one would
association,
allow
like a business
pub-
form of an HOA?
Well, sure. You could have an HOA have like certain property as part of the HOA that's relegated to some kind of business use as well, and then they could have some rules saying we don't allow people on our private property. And then if the homeless people come and camp there, they just get trespassed, right? As
What's wrong
anybody
with this?
would on a.
What's wrong with like the city agree? Like if the citizens
Because
of the
because
city,
it's the government, it's the cops, it's the
An
people. who are
HOA
the,
is just a smaller
it's the people.
government. Like,
Well, it's
Yeah.
not. It's not because they don't have the monopoly on force. It's a critical difference. The government has the
H-
monopoly on force. They
So
can
how
come
it
kill
works
you.
is the police,
HOA
have to
enforce-
come and enforce the rules of the HOA.
Well,
That's how it works.
So like,
At some
Right.
point, though, their border ends and they could just camp right outside of it. It doesn't solve the problem. It just pushes
Fine,
a little.
fine. No, fine. Then they camp outside of it, and we all get the fuck over
If-
it because there's just some people in a tent.
if
It's
we
not a big
start
deal.
arresting people for like setting up
like
camp
that.
in public places where they're not like committing any crimes, we've essentially destroyed public property and just turned it into private property of the government. I think is more Lactoid's point. At
Because
least
you
that's
can't
my
camp
understanding
there?
of it. Well,
Because you can't live there.
no, because you're not committing a crime.
Just right, but you guys are so kind of like there's this premise that it's like hard to tell the difference between someone being in public and someone trying to like live and reside on a public like space.
Have
Like, I
homeless
feel like
people
that
not
just-
sued and won over shit like this?
Yeah, camping in public though you can
No.
make illegal. That just was ruled by the Supreme Court recently.
Well,
That
sure,
can be
and then
made
if it's
illegal.
illegal
Yeah, he's right on
wherever,
that.
if it's illegal wherever it is, then yes, it's a crime that they're
It's just them
arrestable for.
being in places
Well, that's
that
why.
people.
That's why in a lot of
could be an
cities,
issue.
Well, that's what
They're
the whole
doing
point
like
is. Trump wants to
It's
make camping in
in
cities illegal.
people.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. Is Trump with the Supreme Court really now has the ability to like ban camping in cities for the most part. I think in most places, right? So, like with that, if he does it, and he's offering up a solution like not just banning, moving them. Like, so if he bans it, I guess what the way I've seen this right is when you put this out there, it's like, hey, I want to ban this because enough people are bitching about homelessness and crime. But we have to put these people somewhere, and his solution is tent cities or incarceration. And
it's gonna look so bad. It's just gonna
It
look like
will.
refugee camps for fucking American homeless people.
Well, and
That's
to go
not
back
good.
to go back to
And
something
actually,
Lactoid and all them were
it's so
saying.
expensive too.
Point.
To go back to something
Where he was
everybody has
saying
said at a certain point tonight, like it's the federal government isn't really allowed to do this. So like it is kind of a moot point to a certain extent, like whether or not the federal government
How
can
do you
just
say that?
ban
They're
urban.
not allowed to
They're
do
not allowed to
this?
ban urban camping in cities.
How?
Yeah.
Here's
Well,
the
they could
question.
incentivize, couldn't they? They could withhold funding.
That's
like,
not.
if they
But that's
don't-
not what
they
Trump
don't
said. He
donate-
said ban it.
Sure, he said
Well-
where he could. I mean, it was this cat.
Well, so nowhere then,
Well,
except for
so-
maybe DC.
Wait, hold on. He couldn't even get these cities to not be sanctuary cities for illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey, about that when Tom Homan gets in charge. Let's see what happens. I'm hoping.
we'll see.
Put him to
I was
the
supposed
water.
to that the first step of recovery for a lot of these people is like getting them in a bed, right? Getting them in a place. And so like whether it's like a tent city, in my mind, we're talking like this is supposed to be like a rehab facility. Like it's not supposed to be a place where you just go set up your tent and you get to go be homeless, which is like a liberty question, I think. Like, do you have the right to just go be homeless? And where can you do that if you want to do that? I just think you shouldn't be doing it in highly trafficked, maintained areas that taxpayers are trying to maintain. But the social, you have to get them to the first step to them getting help and to like getting jobs and getting back on track is to, just get a bed. So like, even if it's like the tent city, if it's a rehab tent facility, I guess. It's like
Yeah,
as long
wait.
as there's some sort of like sleepable bed that we're
What
providing them.
kind of hippie rehab or is
hold on.
trying to build?
When I'm saying the tent city, I'm not imagining like just tents. I'm trying.
Why
to
not?
imagine,
Wait,
like,
why
a
not?
place
Wait,
where-
hold on. Why not? Why the fuck not? Why are you reading way further into Trump's words than he even implied?
Does it have walls though? This
Hold on, guys. Because we have the policy right here.
Assume it's in the same vein of what Sociologic was saying. We need to figure out how to get these people just in a comfortable place to sleep to start, and then they'll.
Then why not say that in the proposal?
Hold on. The proposal is not that.
Yeah, that's not the proposal. You do this thing where you say words. You say, well, he says tent city, but I'm imagining more of a rehab facility, so that must be what it is. That's fucking stupid. Like,
That's not what I'm saying.
to be implemented. There's going to be people that have to study how to do this. There's going to be a lot of people involved.
and those people can't be like wandering around tents.
Hold on.
That means rehab
One at a
facility
time,
to
one
you.
at a time.
Hey, let's at least
So
talk about
kids
what
do
the
not
law-
round them up.
Hold on, I'm going to mute everybody here 1 second. Here, we're going to go one at a
It's
time.
the same
Before you
thing.
finish, then we'll go to Tyler, then JC.
It's easy to scoff at it, but this is literally true with any proposal. You have to implement it, and there's going to be things that you learn as you're implementing programs. There's going to have to be changes that you make, but you can't do anything without proposing it first, and you're not going to have the final product when you propose it. So it's just like what we're talking about. The reason we're having this discussion, we're not the ones who even need to have this discussion. This discussion is going to be had by people in DC that are working on this issue actively. So it's like, what are we going to do? What are the 10 cities supposed to look like? And what I'm saying, for me to support this, what we're talking about is a place where we're giving them what Sociologic identified as a necessary step in the direction of helping them, giving them a place to sleep. And if that's what the tent city is supposed to reference, is an attempt in that pursuit, that makes sense to me. I don't think, like, if we're supposed to assume that he just means exactly what he says, like tent city is just like a place where you can just go set up a tent. I don't support that, but that's not what I imagine our government would be trying to do. So I'm like, I think that this proposal is more about just getting them in beds that wouldn't be just like it's not the tent cities. I do think that this should be implemented that way, and I hope that it is implemented that way. But you're like scoffing at it because like I just didn't.
Yeah,
get
I'm
that.
scoffing at it because you
Tyler,
keep switching words.
Hold on.
Hold on, JC. I'm sure you're going to respond to Tyler, too.
Hold on.
No, Tyler's
Like,
based.
Hold on, bro. Chill.
Hold on. Yeah, Tyler, go ahead.
All right. So when you actually look at the policy, Trump is not saying he wants to set up 10 cities for them to actually go just stay at their will, because that wouldn't work. What they're saying is he's going to work with cities and find a way to get them all to ban urban camping. And then when the police go to these people who are camping, they say, look, we're either going to take you to jail for violating the law, or you can go to this new penal colony we're setting up that's going to be the equivalent to a jail or a rehab. They're not putting them in just a landmass that they can enter on their own. This is an alternative to...
Okay, wait. Hold on, I was next. Hold on, I was next. So, if... God, that guy can't shut his fucking mouth. Just like me.
Hold on. Keep on. Yeah, go ahead, Tyler. Finish out, Tyler, and then I'm going to like
Right. So that's what Trump is actually proposing, is setting up a new type of penal colony where they're going to have social workers. It's a concession to the leftists that wanted to defund the police for social workers. It's stupid policy. There's nothing good about it. That being said, he also wants to bring back institutions. He also wants to take all homeless vets, just give them money and have them taken care of off to the side, remove them from the equation. So he's bringing back mental institutions and forcing people to go to those as well. This is not going to be just a tent city where they can freely enter and come and go as they want just to have beds.
You go after JC. Go ahead, JC.
Okay. Maybe it's the liberal in me, I don't know, but I'm getting really fucking sick of how Joe Biden can say on a phone call some metaphor about crosshairs, and all of a sudden he's held accountable for the attempt on Trump's life. But Trump can literally say, we will then open up large parcels of inexpensive land, whatever that means, bring in doctors, psychiatrists, social workers, and drug rehab specialists, and create tent cities. And then Pentuple and people like him will go, well, he says tent cities, but does he actually mean that? I mean, wouldn't it be more like a rehab facility?
He means literal tents and nothing.
Why the fuck? Okay, wait, no. Apply the standard equally, dipshit.
Hold on.
Okay, apply the standard equally.
What are you even saying? This is total nonsense. I wanted to ask average debater a question that actually matters. Do you guys think that this is going to be a thing where they force you to go to the rehab facility? Because I'm imagining that's the option for people who have truly nowhere else to go. tents are willing to take you in. You have friends who are willing to take you in. You have other options other than just remaining in the street indefinitely.
No, you have two.
I don't think anyone's been
rehab or
to
jail.
go to these, but having these as an option for rehab, I think
he doesn't even know the policy proposal. Like, what the fuck? I linked it in the chat.
It's giving a plan to criminalize a specific action they're doing, and once that action is criminalized, they're going to use that to give them this alternative.
Yeah. So it's either tent city or jail, pretty much, is the idea.
I
Go ahead, go ahead.
Just to kind of quirl JC there. If he is proposing just tent cities, not the buildings and infrastructure that you're imagining, would you support it?
Ali, is it okay if I answer that? I know that you were technically.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah,
okay, if he's building rehab facilities.
Oh, I was asking Pentuple that question.
Why'd you say Jason?
Because this gets at what you were trying to accuse Pentuple of doing.
So wait, who are you asking the question?
I'm asking Pentuple the question.
What was the question? Sorry.
He supports it as is.
Yeah, if Trump is actually just trying to make tent cities and not having all this infrastructure that you're imagining, do you support the proposal?
No, I wouldn't support that.
Oof, not very MAGA. That's a proposal. Traitor identified. There's an imposter among us.
I think we're talking about we're talking about rehab facility, and also I think it's important to distinguish that we're talking about something that would be ultimately an optional decision. If you have a home, if you have a place, like Lactoid said, this isn't going to be places where you can say I live here. I was just drinking at the bar, and they'd be like, okay, they're not going to force you or have you go to this rehab facility. It's going to be for people who have truly nowhere else to go. Which is because they have either no family or their family don't want to help them or whatever reason, I guess.
You have a very pie in the sky idea of how laws are applied.
Okay,
I just wanted it admitted that Trump is running the country on vibes. I'm okay with it. But
you're not gonna get argument from me.
That's what populism is. That's what populism is.
We're gonna send them to Rwanda. It's gonna be amazing.
That's literally what populism is. He's like, what people want. Like, if this is that's what populism is to an extent.
Okay,
just
listen,
that's why it's fucking stupid.
You cannot build tents. It has to, at the very least,
you buy them from Home Depot.
Ollie, all right. So let me ask you this:
or something.
Ollie.
Hotel.
No, all right, Ollie. Let's just say the tents are like a starting point. What if they're like rigid tents, like they're like those domes that are like the like you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, like from the fire.
Yeah, like fire frog.
I thought those were shitty.
I guess they were shitty because if they were not good enough.
That's just gonna be an eyesore, brother.
We can have Ja Rule be there.
Can we just? Where are the large parcels of land coming from?
Hold on.
That's what I want to know.
I'll give you a proposal. I will give you one right now. Like here's. Let me just see. We'll pitch this idea out there. Let's see what y'all think. Say I have my ranch, and say it's a down year for Papa Gibbs, and so we take a couple thousand acres, and I say, hey, y'all can build some big old walls, and you can put like these shipping containers, or you can build a dome, or you can have whatever, and y'all can do this. You don't think that people would rent this out to the government if they were going to pay?
No, I don't think people want to house refugees. I don't think people want to. Yeah,
I don't want homeless people in my house. The end.
I want to take a bunch of homeless.
Don't think I'm alone.
I want to take a bunch of homeless people and put them in their backyard.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys,
dude, I'd be so pissed. Oh fuck, one of these camps right by my house. Oh my.
Also, I want to point out Ali just literally said. Ali just literally said, "Not in my backyard." Base.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, I built this like in little West Texas.
So did I.
Property value
for hundreds of miles. We could build like Camp Gibsonian or something, and it'll be like a million homeless in like the desert.
How big are the walls going to be?
The location has to be.
It could be like Australia 2.0. We ship them all there, and they start their own little country.
It's Rwanda. It's Rwanda, Lactoid.
Oh, hold on. Australia started this way, literally.
Wait. You do know, with tent city comes tent food and tent water and tent electricity.
Yes, maybe we
no, just doctors, psychiatrists, social workers, and rehab.
Get back into business.
I'm just saying, we have a bunch of old apartments. We could just reuse those.
Nah, fam. We're gonna open up large parcels of inexpensive land outside New York and LA, boss.
Ollie, couldn't we realistically? I know there's probably more to this, but why couldn't they have their own community that they'd be self-sufficient in, right? They grow their own food. They just have them kind of be in their own.
Like a leper colony
somewhere.
Like a commune.
Like a
Is that
leper
serious?
colony, yeah.
I came in and I said I'm good with cargo homes. The little cargo ship homes. There's a bunch
No,
of old ones that are like
I
2-3
think
grand.
City is
Or a cargo ship.
So yeah, Ollie, that was my point.
Cargo
It's
ship
like, hold on.
pointed at Rwanda.
Yeah, Rwanda. No, Ollie, that's what my point with this. Is you can, like, y'all are focusing too hard on the tent part. Like Ollie on that one. I think it can be any kind of home. Like you have a little tiny home.
I think that like a hotel structure that has a bunch of rooms and the lobby can be
and
where all-
wings, and
I
there's
don't want to
different
pay for this.
designations for different people.
Wait,
Wait,
Lactoid, hold on.
Proposal by your president.
If that was built, if that was built,
I can criticize him. In fact, hold on. Since he won, look, we dodged the bullet. Okay, we dodged the catastrophe that would have been Kamala Harris. But now I think it's important to hold Trump to account.
Oh, now you don't trust the plan?
Well, no. It's important to hold him to account and try to push him towards good policy.
Yeah, we got to get our voices heard so we can steer
voice heard.
plan.
Steer him towards good policy. Yes.
Him and his constituents and the dudes that he hangs out, his clique, right? Like the clique.
Well, I like him.
They came to this decision.
He's one of us. I don't know what you're talking about.
Let's go.
That's what I'm saying. He's one of y'all. He is you. He's the presidential embodiment of you, Lactoid.
No,
He
he's
came up
not.
with this.
no, Lactoid is way
doubting his
smarter.
genius.
Don't do that to my
You're
boy.
doubting his
Don't.
genius.
No, look, I have a lot. Look, I said from the very beginning. Even my endorsement had like this caveat. I have disagreements with the guy, and I even said when he gets elected, hopefully, which he thankfully has been. It's important, thankfully, because the alternative would have been awful. It's important that we push him towards good policy, and this is not good policy. And I think it's important to call people out and say, "Hey, Trump, focus on other shit. Don't do this shit." And I'm perfectly
Jingle the
consistent
keys
with
over
this,
here
right?
But here's the
instead.
thing. Everything he focuses on, you do understand is going to cost.
Jingle the
money,
keys
which
to the
means
White
you
House,
have
the
to
Lichtman
understand
keys.
this,
Hold on,
right?
hold on.
Not
Hold on,
every.
Here, let me
Name one
reframe.
policy that's not going to cost
Cutting
you a dollar.
policy of cutting the federal agencies. This will save money.
Sure. Okay. Let me jump in here.
Let's go, Vivek.
Doge.
Hell yeah, W.
Hell yeah.
Let me rephrase.
Just kidding.
No.
Them money.
Hold on. Let me reframe this. So, like, kind of like your arguments will take money. Wouldn't you also say it's a win, though? Like, Trump could sell this as a win. Is if like the average person like walked outside and didn't see the hobo outside anymore, didn't feel like they had to like not
And then you drive 40 minutes out of town and you see this massive camp.
You think you could sell? Hold on. I know you don't think it's a win, but do you think it would be sellable to the average?
I don't think.
person?
I don't think. And here's why. Because the people that are walking out and seeing a bunch of homeless people, like by and large, are in the states that are never voting for Trump anyway. You think California is going to go to Trump?
New York,
is going to go to
Peanut the squirrel.
Hold on, Lactoid.
Wait. I have a proposal.
Those are the Trump voters in New York City that saw the homelessness and stuff, that saw it in LA. That's what drove
Wait,
this,
remind
like,
me
rightward
who
shift
New York
in the
went
last
to?
election. So you're saying like, oh, they're not changing.
Remind me which party won New York?
The results on the map might not change.
Why? Well, okay, yeah. Well, hold on. So if you're saying that, hey, like we're not going to change the voters' minds there, but like them being like the homeless people being there like helps motivate like right-wing shifts elsewhere besides that state, then why the fuck do you want to get rid of that?
Oh, that's
because if
that's what Trump did with
Oh, like as a strategic move, I guess.
Seriously, like think about this, right? Here is the best thing that Trump could do, unironically. Trump does nothing and then blames the blue governors of those states for stopping him doing whatever he's not going to do. That's unironically the best way of doing it.
No. Smartest thing.
I don't like that
Wasn't it Warren Buffett?
strategy,
who made
but sure.
a lot of his money off of fucking trailer parks or whatever, because he knows that broke people, it comes with good money. He sells this as an investment, right? Americans can buy into these plots and parcels of land, this vast
That's
American
what I'm
land.
saying,
We're
an
gonna put them on. He has
Trailer parks are a red state thing,
Hmm?
Trailer parks are like a red state thing, though, right? Like they're already home.
Well, I know. I'm saying, yeah. If he builds more trailer parks, but now Americans are invested in on it, right? He has.
Oh,
Americans,
we
you can
established the
invest.
trailer park voting base in New York and flipped that state.
Okay,
No, not even
okay,
that.
fine, Lactoid. Wait. That's fine.
Why don't we just re-educate
Where?
this while we're at it?
No. He could wait. If he
Turn him into crypto bros.
Point on a
if
map.
it was serious, right? If you want this to be serious, if he actually
They're already iced
takes
up. They
care
can
of the
watch all the
homeless
futures at
problem
night.
in a real way where it doesn't look like fucking trash, right? Don't you think a lot of the people in New York or California will look around and be like, "Oh shit, he solved."
No.
he did that. What?
No. Hold on.
Not in California,
I'm
dog.
serious.
People
I'm
a
dead
little
serious.
fucking
New York,
credit.
New York.
I think
no,
that people would think something big about it personally.
Well, no. So you guys
People
maybe
a little credit.
Look. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
I would run naked through the
but-
streets to be rid of homeless in my neighborhood.
Sure. So look, as one fellow
Gibbs.
good prediction maker to another Gibbs. Okay, we were both right in our predictions. I think that both of us can make this prediction here, but I think that you're a little bit wrong. I think that even if the homeless problem is quote unquote solved, California's not going for Trump. New York's not going for Trump.
Okay,
This is
I'll
why-
have it be known. Wait, if we're gonna use predictions, I'll have it be known. You didn't think Michigan was going red, and I called it months ago.
I wanted to say,
Yeah,
I just
whatever.
wanted to point one thing
yeah,
out real
that's
quick.
Well, you did say that.
So we're talking a
also
lot
don't know
about.
what
If we're gonna do
right
predictions-
off
JC, hold on,
states
JC.
as just irreversible.
We're talking about this
Hold on,
policy
JC, you
proposal,
You think
right?
it's going to happen unintentionally? I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I just
We're talking about this policy
Optimism.
proposal to quote unquote fix the homelessness problem. Does it actually, if all it's doing is moving the current homeless population, how does it go towards like
you
preventing
house
the
them.
creation of more
I
homeless
wouldn't-
people? How does it prevent more people from becoming homeless rather?
Him and then you.
That's what I want to jump in and kind of
All
talk
right,
about.
go.
Is
Yeah, go ahead, Tyler. Tyler, you go. We'll go
Yes.
you then pick up. All right.
it's kind of a concession to the defund the police movement. I was saying that earlier. They are taking police out of the equation, and instead they're putting in medical professionals, social workers, and whatnot to go in and do what that movement essentially was demanding. It's an in between putting them in institutionalized state rehab or letting them be out on the street. You're in this confined, government regulated space. I don't think it's going to be tents at the end of the day. It'll probably be a facility. But you're in this confined facility with these medical professionals, and we're not going to force you to go through treatment, but you're fucking here until your sentence is up.
Okay. So we're doing that. Who's keeping those? You and I are both smart enough to understand that like homeless people can be violent, especially like addicts coming out of like addiction can be violent, right? Who's keeping those medical professionals and rehab specialists safe?
That's why we need the walls and the National Guard. You know.
The walls, dude. You gotta move on to something else. You gotta get a new structure.
JC, 3 words. The Second Amendment.
Okay, no, lactoid, but like
man.
more like
Wait, you
less
would
less
arm- you would
meme,
arm
less
the
meme,
police
okay?
Sedating the people.
Less
you would
meme.
arm,
If
like,
we're
the
arming
EMTs
these
there?
medical professionals, first of all, I don't think a medical professional would ever like go for that if they've taken the Hippocratic oath. Like they're not gonna like carry
I
a
think some
gun
EMTs
in
would
case
take it, yeah.
I think some EMTs would.
Okay,
some EMTs
I
would
think
go
they
out,
would,
yeah.
but but should that be a thing that we're okay with?
Shouldn't.
Yeah,
In
exactly.
hospitals-
Their oath.
In hospitals,
Well,
Wait, isn't this what they did in like the institutions? Like they, with the straitjacket.
Yeah, but was that a
Like,
good
they
thing?
They weren't like pacifists. They would like shock people. who
Was
did
that a well? First of all, a
lobotomize.
lot of those people
And
weren't
lobotomize.
medical professionals, weren't licensed medical professionals. Number one, and number two, is that something we want?
in hospitals they
I think
have.
some EMTs are armed. I'm not 100%.
In hospitals they have. In the hospitals they have security that has.
Okay,
That's
that's
true.
a good
Hospital
point.
security.
That's a really great point. So now we're talking about security on these facilities that are owned and operated by the federal government. What would we call that?
communism.
Police.
Yeah, we call it police. So how is this a concession then, Tyler, to the defund the police
Well,
movement?
okay,
Because
let me ask.
for the security.
Well,
Because
that's a
it's
good
private
question.
security, which Gibbs
Well,
would hire.
JC, you
private
bring up a
security
good
to work at
question,
these
actually.
facilities.
So the United States is. Oh, my voice cracked. That was amazing. The United States here is a one of the first countries where we don't have like a dedicated debtors prison. Would this not be like almost an equivalent to that? Like, is that a bad thing necessarily to have?
You're
a debtors
selling it
prison?
on me.
I mean,
it would not
we
be
kind of
a
had
debtor's
something like
prison
that, right?
because-
Not
it would not be
officially,
a-
but- Go ahead.
It would not be a debtor's prison because you're sending people into this facility because they're living on the street.
Wouldn't it
Not
isn't
because
it
they're in
de
debt.
facto debtors? Isn't it de facto? I mean, if
No,
you're
because, like,
homeless, you
I
might
can
not
Wait,
be
wait,
dead.
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Gibbs, just a correction. We did have debtors prisons. They were outlawed
Well,
in
yeah, we don't
1833, but we did have them.
Well,
Yeah,
we
but I'm not
currently
saying we didn't
Gibbs,
we don't have
we currently have them for only one kind of crime, but
I could be
not
in
paying child
debt and I
support.
could default on my debt and still not be required to go to this place.
But throughout history, well, I mean, I guess what I was going with that point is throughout history, debtors prisons have been a common thing, and they're not anymore. I mean, technically, I guess we did have them. I'm not saying we never had them, but I was saying that they're not a thing now. Would this not be a return to that almost? I feel like it's a de
In a
facto
way, yeah, it actually would. I think that's a really good point.
I'm unironically cool with this. I like the idea. Like we can make like people working off their debt should be the understanding right? Because otherwise you're having this shit where we're just dumping money and getting nothing out of it.
Well, but Lactoid, you're not talking
again,
about a prison, though. You're talking about what I was talking about, where it's like a government work program. A debtor's prison is literally like you're homeless or you don't have enough money, you're going to fucking prison. Like, I don't think that's a good idea, and I don't think anybody else here would agree with that. Like, if anything, if we're gonna house these people in a federal like facility, we probably should be making them like contribute back in some way.
Yeah, the work program should be mandatory if they're taking any kind of benefit.
Right? Yeah.
But if they don't want, if they're not getting any benefit or doing anything, then like I said before, like I don't give a fuck. Like no,
then jail.
Look, like okay, just to be real here for a second. I understand.
I just want to be to the right of you once.
Maybe Gibbs, like he's justified in feeling this way because he was tackled by a loony pretty recently. But besides Gibbs, okay, I feel like it's a little bit weenie-ish, okay, to like be freaking the fuck out because some people are in a tent, like in the middle of the city. I don't know.
Well, wait, hold on a second.
Base Lactoid.
Wait. If we're going
let's go.
Hold on. Go ahead, Cliff.
If you're going to excuse Gibbs, I've taken my niece to the park where there were homeless people having sex, and I've had a homeless guy come up into my face and basically in an intimidating way.
Okay, maybe you too.
What? Yeah. So like. It's not like these people like I really appreciate.
Okay, arrest those guys. Okay, if you do like an actual crime other than like loitering or whatever, then yeah, there should be an actual punishment in which we make people work off their debt, et cetera, right? That's the problem. I think Tyler hit the nail on the head earlier when he said the problem is that we just don't punish these people for doing the shit that we actually are worried about because nobody cares that they're actually just sitting there. We're worried they're going to be like some kind of threat, right?
Well,
they're going to tackle Gibbs or they're going to like do some like sexual offense in front of like
part of the isn't part of
shower and it's
part of the Ali.
Gross.
People do. Well, hold on a second. People do care. It's not that people only care about homeless people when they're like committing crimes or like bothering. Like people just don't like the sight of them, which is why we should work towards reintegrating them back into. Well, no, hold on. I don't disagree with you on a personal level. I don't disagree with you on a personal level.
It's a bad look on your society. It's a blemish that you have homeless people walking around in the streets.
I agree. Hey, wait a minute.
Okay, Vincent Van Gogh. Sure. It's a blemish. It doesn't look good on the artwork of society.
Of you on any topic, and then you'll just go shoot left. All right, beautiful.
I'm not shooting left. I'm against the government. I'm against like widespread, irresponsible government spending. I've always been against shit like this.
Okay, Lactoid, those flags behind you represent a land of freedom and opportunity. How does it look? How does it look to represent our land of opportunity if we have people wandering the streets?
What?
How does it how are we representing that ideal if people are wandering the streets?
Yeah, a land of freedom, which is that you get to
opportunity. Opportunity.
Yes, they have the opportunity to do shit like to do drugs if they want to.
Okay, I don't know if you're being intentionally bad faith, but like, no. Don't you? Haven't we already agreed that these people deserve some sort of opportunity?
As a presentation of how to solve homelessness, this is like, how do you solve the visible homelessness problem? That's why a lot of what we're talking about is moving them out of the place that they're in.
Which
it's about this like
is a waste of money and time. It doesn't solve any problems.
Isn't it like Skid Row is growing? Like we're talking about a problem that's like they congregate, they grow, it becomes like a culture, they get sucked in, it becomes enabled. It like
you're doing the fucking
like, this is happening.
You're doing the welfare queen meme. It doesn't work. It doesn't bite. I'm not taking the worm. Like you're doing the welfare queen thing. I generally don't think that a lot of people decide to be homeless. I don't think that you have like a guy who works like a regular 9 to 5, owns a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and then just all of a sudden, no, that's not what I fucking said. I said, I don't think I'm being explicit.
They chose to buy drugs instead of pay their rent.
Wait, whoa. You again reinforce that you are the most sheltered, privileged fuck who's never done any drugs, who's never seen a real homeless person. You have no idea what the real world is like, dog. So stop fucking commenting on them choosing to do drugs. You don't know anything about this shit.
Aren't you like?
You're presuming
24?
that all of these people are homeless because of insurmountable bad luck.
No, is
When
that
in
what I
fact, it is
fucking
a lot of
said?
their
Did I say every
decisions,
single
which
homeless
might be
person just got
driven by drug
unlucky?
addiction, but they make poor decisions. They stop paying their rent.
I
They're addicted
never
to
said
drugs
that
or
homeless
drugs.
people
They
don't
get
make
addicted,
poor
and that's why they're
decisions,
homeless.
dude. I never said that.
That's just what I'm saying.
It's
I don't
funny
like
because
it's a
I just
lie.
repeat back to what you say, and it
Can I
sounds
ask a
stupid.
couple-
You make shit up to
I
make me
wanna-
sound
hold on, yeah.
stupid.
I'm not even making anything
All
up.
right, everybody pause. Everybody stop. All right, cool. All right, Lactoid, go ahead.
Yeah, let me make it like on topic, not personal attack.
Yeah,
so
let's move it on there.
Pentuple, do you agree with
you,
this statement?
Sorry.
Do you agree with this statement that these sort of like the homeless encampments that you're talking about, the only reason they can exist is because there's some kind of money flowing into these areas, and for these people, the only real like financial sources that are coming into these areas are either government services that are like or government handouts, etc., begging. Or the proceeds of crime, like people stealing shit and bringing it into these areas, because they're not working jobs, but more or less, right? So if the money's coming to these areas, like I feel like arresting people for the crimes, okay, like that is like solving that part of the income problem. And then in terms of like people like government services, we can just like stop giving them money. Okay, now the only source of financial like stability or like the money that's coming in to support these like communities that you've got a problem with is begging. And if that's the case, like if they're surviving off of people giving them money, then that community deserves to have those people there, okay? Because they're giving all the money to the panhandlers. They chose to have them there at that point.
Well, I don't understand this because these are places where they're like the
Love
money
you,
doesn't
Lex.
have to come in. I'm not even really accounting for the money coming in because like this is where the people go that aren't success. This is where like
Yeah,
what is
I
a
would agree with
failed
that.
homeless tent city? Like what does it look like when it fails? Like
hold on,
what do you need to maintain it? It's like
there has to be. Hold on. First of all, the
it's
people
just by nature is the rock bottom of being alive. Really,
they are spending so much money. They are spending so much money on.
No,
drugs.
I'm not wrong. You're not wrong. I understand there's a level. I think the reason it's grown to this size that it's such a huge issue now is in part because government programs have enabled it. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I'm just saying like you're saying like we can drive them to failure, but like I don't think that these aren't like places that can fail. Like they're just homeless. They just have nothing. Like they can have nothing. They can have more. They can. Like this is where they go when they have nothing.
Anybody with a hard drug addiction will tell you, like they spend a fuck ton of money doing that shit. Okay, like
I'm not saying there's no cash flow. I'm not saying there's cash flow.
Exactly. And so the best way to like remove those communities is to cut the cash flow because then they have to leave.
And how do you
that would cut the enable. That's what I was saying earlier. If we could just get everyone to agree with you and me that we just stop giving money to these people, they would stop standing in areas where they beg and get money from people.
One more point, Gibbs.
So yeah, one more. I'm going in.
Sure. Yeah. One more point. So you're saying that we can convince people to cut the cash flow and then we have to worry.
No,
about
I don't think that would work. But I said
I know.
In theory it would.
If in theory. But my point is that if you can't convince a community to do that, that community deserves those kind of skid rows there because they chose to have them there by giving them that money.
So, all right, I'm pushing back here. This is the problem. I'm going to push back, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tyler and we go from there. Here's where I have a problem with that issue, right? It's kind of where the rubber meets the road. You see, like in Meyer, you asked why I live where I do, and I have all these problems. I picked I'm going to be honest. I picked a new neighborhood in a bad part of town. It's like gentrification, right? You buy, you know your prices are going to go up. All these things, like that's what you do, right? You prospect these things, and I think that that we're already doing this thing with gentrification and economic benefits in cities where they're like booming. You see like push these people out further and further because like where there used to be the poor neighborhoods, these are turned into the richer neighborhoods because like they just need the space closer to the city. That just like happens over time, right? And I think there is something said for like, yeah, it's not like these people are in the rich neighborhoods already, right? The rich people are moving there and like they're forcing these people to move. And now they're in neighborhoods that didn't choose to have these people because the economy is booming in some of these areas. And now these other people are having to deal with this. And it's like, oh, well, where are they going to go? Well, they're going to go where the other homeless are. And those are usually crime-ridden neighborhoods. And then now you even have more crime. And then you don't have, they go where there's less police presence. And like, I think it's a multifaceted issue. But if you remove them, you take away a lot of these issues that are going to force them all to congregate in specific areas. Like they're not going to have access to the drugs. They won't have access to like the lenient police presence. Like I think that's part of what he's saying.
Homeless people congregate where they can get like money and where they can panhandle effectively. Like if you go to any major city, you want to find like the most panhandlers, go by like the nearby college, right? Or university. That's where you'll find them, right? Or like on the way to like certain like industries, right? Because that's where people are handing out the money, especially when they're like, college kids who are spending their parents' money anyway, right? That's where they're going to get a lot of the money from. Like the money that they're making is either going to be from one of those three sources: the government, from panhandling, or from selling stolen shit. Right? There's no they don't have jobs.
You guys are attacking the community, the self-governing American goodwill people way too fucking much, and I'm not going to stand for it. We're here as a goddamn nation because of our self-determination. So, MAGA dude, I'm sorry I can't remember your name.
Bent up.
No, Pat, you're good.
Bent up, yeah. So, you asked what a failed and a successful tent city looks like. What a failed tent city looks like is going to be lots of Coleman tents. First and foremost, looking like they came out of Walmart, and you're gonna have some burning.
Wait, did you say Coleman tent, like the brand?
Coleman, yeah, the brand.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Now, if you want a nice, successful tent city, you're gonna see a lot of North Face, a lot of Alaska.
A lot of Eddie Bauer.
Double-decker tent. Yep, some double-decker tents. We're gonna get a nice, maybe even a heater.
Double-decker tent.
Yep. That's what a successful tent city looks like. So my first point. My second. The community giving money to these people is not holding them up. Maybe the state and local, your big fish, small pond homeless, and know how to panhandle. But what we really see is the homeless aggregate when the policy of that area benefits them the most. If you look at where the homeless are, it's in the states that are allowing them to be homeless, that are spending the most amount of money on being homeless, that have positions. They've actually Keynesian positions they've opened up in their government economies to go and clean up shit and needles so that the homeless can continue to shit and put needles on the ground all over the goddamn city. And the result is things like what Lactoid is saying. Like, hey, we'll just put some spikes on these benches. After 9 p.m., they're going to shoot out like a butt plug. And if you want to sleep there, then, enjoy it. But, other than, that's a Band-Aid over the solution. The solution is... Yeah, it's to throw people into prison or into rehab, or I guess into this third new tent city concession to keep the leftists happy. I think.
Why do you keep saying to keep the leftists happy? I'm pretty sure nobody on the left is happy with this proposal.
They're not. They'll never be, and they're never going to concede.
Well, wait. Why do you think that? Wait. Do you think that's just because they hate Trump, or because they have a fundamental disagreement with the policy?
Yeah, that's a big part.
That's why I hate the policy. Is because I just hate Trump. Because Trump derangement syndrome. You realize this is why I fucking left this space 40 days ago? Is because you dipshits, that's your only line, is you have Trump derangement syndrome. Maybe I just actually have issues with the policy.
Hold on, Trump offered...
Well, Lactoid, fine, you have Trump derangement syndrome too, then.
Million people. 2.4
No, I didn't.
Nope, sorry, you have Trump derangement syndrome. You disagree with the policy, sorry.
They turned it down. Because they hate Trump, they didn't want to give him his wall. 2.4 million people.
What was this about the wall again? You and Gibbs.
I'm just telling. This is the anti-Trump.
Listen, the wall is important.
They didn't want to give him any wins. They know
we have.
Look, if we let you build the wall, you guys go away. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I would be a lot happier. I won't lie. I would solve a lot of my day-to-day. Honestly, if they built the wall, unironically, it would solve my homeless.
There's a picture of Gibbs in like a hard hat standing on top of like a 50-foot concrete wall, but it's only like 20 feet long. But the camera's like locked, so you can't tell.
If Trump is like in the borders office is listening, put me in charge. We'll get that wall built tomorrow. God, the day, like I'm telling you. Go ahead.
So the problem with Lactoid's suggestion of getting rid of the money is that yes, it probably would make a small percentage of the homeless population go, oh well, damn, I got to go do something else, and actually like find gainful employment and become unhomeless. I think that would be a small percent. I think that the most homeless people would just turn to more nefarious means to make their money, and that puts and then you arrest them. But like now you're putting a victim in between them and going to jail. And whereas if we just like force them to go
creating victims,
it's petty crimes that they'll reimburse them through labor.
Whereas if we like if we force them to go to some kind of rehabilitation place, it's actually kind of a humane way of housing homeless people with treatment. Then you might have less victims, and you would
no, you wouldn't.
At the same time.
No, you wouldn't. I know you're not going to agree with this.
You're going to pay taxes.
Yes, you have a lot more victims. You know much more money that's going to cost, like taking all that money from people?
A lot less than cheap purchases of land outside New York City.
That's worth way more. That's worth way more than the contents of my car.
Okay, what if AIPAC pays for it?
How much?
It's about Israel.
How much money does it cost to jail people though? We're spending that money.
No, what if
I'm saying no. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Money in our taxes.
I'm saying
like what the fuck are
hold on. I'm agreeing with you. This is why I said before, like we make it about like community service kind of area instead of like a regular jail. So like we get them to work, the work program that JC already agreed with.
What if they refuse?
Wait, hey, I proposed that. Don't take my idea, dude. I proposed that. You agreed with it.
We have ways of making them work.
Give the liberals some credit. I know you don't wanna. Come on.
Are we
need
doing slavery again?
What do you slavery?
Community service is slavery? What the fuck?
You think that a government welfare
service? You can't,
a government welfare program that provides a roof, an address, and a job to homeless people on a 5-year track to have them reintegrated into society, you call that slavery?
Wait, if you are yes. If you are forcing them to work, it's slavery.
I'm not. No. You're not forcing anything.
I'm forcing them.
Okay, Lactoid's forcing them. I'm not.
Yeah, all right.
We force criminals to do shit all the time.
Kamala made them work.
We put criminals in a cage. Why can't we make them work?
Because if they just refuse to get out of the bed or get out of their housing unit, then they're not going to work.
Is that like a cruel and unusual punishment thing, lawyers? Actually,
them.
I don't know why that changed.
Cluck, you should.
I know they
definitely
work
be
for
on the side
cheap,
of this
but is there some kind of like case case law there?
Social contract theory. This is social contract. You can disagree with it as a principle and say I just don't like it, but as social contract theory goes, when you put somebody in prison, you are stripping them of their rights. So forcing them to work is just as the same as not allowing them to have a gun.
Well, you strip them of certain rights. You don't strip them of every right. I don't think that.
Yeah, that's true. We don't in prison.
And also, being homeless isn't a crime.
We offer them work in prison.
Yeah, but committing crime is a crime.
Well, yeah, and we already agreed on that.
We offer them work in prison, and we do.
What did you just say?
Committing crime is a crime. I'm saying
shit,
just the criminals.
Real highbrow stuff tonight.
Yeah, hot takes from scalding fucking hot takes.
Wow.
Ow, it burns.
I was really sorry, little Clark. I know I'm going to turn it back to you and say I did not know we were going to be having this intelligent of a conversation.
The federal statute.
I'm so happy, bro. I was hoping.
I'm gonna have to leave. The dialogue's too intelligent for me.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna have like a real like good deep combo. Nah, I'm gonna get the rep for the hot takes of the century. All right, go ahead, Clark. I just had to stop you there.
So
crime is crime.
We do put we offer people in prison jobs within the prison, and if they don't do it, there are sanctions for them. But like a lot of people just choose not to work anyways.
Yeah, I would make them work. The idea of like having people absorb like my money, and like just out of the raw like either laziness or selfishness or whatever the fuck,
what
and like not work to like mild pain compliance.
Okay, so whipping.
Mild pain compliance. I just want to know what that looks like.
What if they're medically unable to work?
Well, if they're medically unable to work, then obviously we can't make them work.
Wait, hold on. Let's go back.
That's a quitter's attitude, man. If they got hands, they can work.
A little more expansion on mild pain
twisting. To get them.
Yeah, sure. Zap them.
Well, that's my idea. Yeah, like
cattle prod. Yeah.
Cattle prod.
I was going to give you, at my closing statement, I was going to give you props for like humanizing homeless people, which you really seem to do at first, but now you're talking about like, okay. Anyway.
Whoa, I do humanize homeless people. I just think that criminals, people who infringe upon other people, should probably have to pay back their victims. And if they're going to sit there and obstinately not pay back their victims like children, then I really don't have a lot of sympathy for them.
What about keeping them in prison until they do work their debts off?
Well, because some of them are going to be like never leaving. Some of them are just going to be sitting there like, I'm not going to do it.
The rest of their life.
Yeah, then I got to pay for all that shit too. Fuck that.
Okay.
Look, frankly, and this is another thing I disagree with Trump on. It makes more sense to deport those people than like some hardworking immigrant.
Yep.
Okay. The hardworking immigrant makes more sense to keep them, and you deport the criminal.
I'd rather deport nobody, but I actually agree with the logic there.
Well, I mean, since we're on the deport topic, let's just ask the fun question. Are y'all in favor of Trump's plan to deport 20 million people to Rwanda?
Fuck though, that's stupid. Just like everything, it's stupid. It doesn't mean anything. It's not gonna happen.
Get him out of here.
Some spice to the panel. Fuck it.
So he's in for it. Pintup, are you in for it?
I'm signing on because I know it won't pass.
So. What if it hypothetically? What if it does pass?
No, I'm just kidding. I don't agree with that. It's a joke. Like, what are we talking? We're just gonna fly them all to Rwanda?
Yes,
I'll read it. I guess I don't know. It sounds really.
Well, I think Lactoid said
goofy.
cargo ship.
Bro, I would go as far as to say that I think deporting 20 million illegal immigrants is just a dumb idea generally, no matter where we deport them. Like this, it's dumb.
Let's just axe a
Can
big
we
chunk
just,
of the economy away for no gain.
What if we just like offered them, forced like I don't know, maybe not conscription, but like gave them the choice of either join the military.
They're already working. They're already working, dude. Like, I'm sorry. This is like the one thing that like I always said I'm not hawkish in immigration because like I looked into this and trust me, I was looking for a reason, but they're just like it's hard. It's hard to find one. Like illegal immigrants have a higher labor force participation rate than native-born citizens.
Oof.
They have a lower crime rate than native-born citizens.
Fat,
right?
lazy
like,
American
they're
versus
by and large,
the Chad
they're
Mexican
they're
immigrant.
working. By and large, they're working and they're not doing crime. Meanwhile, the homeless people are doing crime and not working. Why don't we deport them?
Can we
instead?
just deport nobody? Why don't we get the homeless people working again? I thought you liked that idea.
Let me get up in here because there's a few things that.
Tyler's gonna explode.
Right. 2 studies John Locke did, one in Arizona, one in Texas, looking at criminals in the prisons.
Yeah,
we found that there was a much higher per capita distribution of murderers and violent criminals that were illegally in this country versus natural citizens.
I mean, come on, guys. Haven't you heard of Laken Riley?
There's been a bunch of studies recently that have
John Locke.
Everything I've seen like is contradictory to that. Everything.
Hold on, I'm not
outdated.
done yet. The other thing that they're doing is being in the country illegally. So crossing the border is a crime. If you falsify work documents to get a job, that's a crime. If you're not the one breaking that law, that the person. So, but there's one thing that you might have skipped over. That's a pretty good reason for this. It's respect for rule of law, Lactoid. Maybe you should learn some.
I wanted to say,
victimless crimes should not be crimes. And frankly, Tyler, I don't mean to do this, but like you're smoking weed on camera. Respect for the law. I mean, bro.
No, it's legal now. Trump made it legal.
Trump made it legal. He's not president yet, but it's legal, baby.
No, but he did it in 2016.
Lactoid's premise that their economic success justifies them being here, because in my mind, it doesn't play a part of the calculus, because you're not entitled to the American dream, which is a limited resource. It's not an unlimited resource. This is the opportunity that exists in this country belongs to Americans. So even if you come in and you are successful, even if you come in and you are contributing economically, that doesn't entitle you. It plays 0% of the calculus in my mind as to whether who gets to stay. I think it's very clear. You're either here illegally or you're not. There's no analysis to be made on like how hard you work or like what.
So
blah, blah, blah.
of the illegal immigrants present in this country that are working, would we say that they typically hold like high power, high paying jobs, or low skill, low power, low paying jobs?
The latter.
Yeah, because everybody here is intelligent.
What jobs are they holding?
Okay, no. Hold on 1 second.
None.
The point about like, oh, like what are we going to do
So
about the jobs?
what
The job
success?
market doesn't
What
exist.
American dream and success are these immigrants
jobs.
achieving?
Their
I guess
premise
besides
is
fueling
the
my
job
American
market
success.
There's no value or no purpose at which people would do these jobs. I just don't find that to be the case. When people make the argument that Americans won't do these jobs, they're making the argument that the job
I didn't
market
make that
ceases to
argument.
exist. There's no wage at what point they would be motivated to do this job. The problem is that no Americans are going to do these jobs for the wages that they're getting right now.
Yeah,
they're going to have to
exactly.
pay more, which
No.
is the problem.
Nope.
Even if they're like contributing or whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There is a job market. for
Spoken
these
like
jobs. You're
someone with
acting like
no knowledge of econ, but okay.
Worker.
the market exists. It doesn't disappear because you got rid of an illegal population. So the jobs, especially if they're necessary, you're arguing they're necessary. If they were maybe like a fun toy factory jobs, yeah, maybe we'd be losing that part of the economy. But you're arguing about essential, necessary jobs.
Yeah,
that
like
will be
picking
replaced
fucking
by
fruit,
Americans.
dude. That's pretty essential. Grocery stores having
Yeah.
food is pretty essential.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Quit
the
blowing
job
out your
market
mic.
exists.
Or get a better one.
Fucking liberal.
Fucking liberal.
What happens to the food prices when they're all gone?
Well,
To the what?
What happens to the food prices when
prices.
they're the illegal? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, the prices might go up.
well,
Yeah.
Lactoid, yeah, you should be able to answer.
But the
this. What
market
happens?
won't be
Doesn't the
getting
market
sent
take care of?
overseas.
Doesn't the market take care of everything?
Food prices. Food prices will go up, but in America, that might be a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Now, since we see that illegal immigrant households actually take in more in welfare programs than non-legal immigrant households and the U.S. citizens, we could maybe divert some of that money. We find that up until 4 generations of being in the country, illegal immigrants actually cost the U.S. taxpayer more money. On that 4th generation, they start to become a net benefit to the country. So that's one of the arguments for letting them in is in four generations, they're going to be a plus to GDP. And in the meantime, they're going to be negative to GDP. So all that money we're allocating to these illegal immigrants to stay here, we could allocate some of that to be maybe a subsidy on the markets that are going to be hit by them leaving.
Look, I mean this sincerely.
I
mean
want to
this.
see those studies.
Yeah, I mean this sincerely. Like, if you send me those studies and I review them and they're up to stuff, like, I have no problem changing my mind about this. I really don't. Okay.
His name's John Lott. I can find it for you.
I'm just saying.
John
I'll take a
Lott,
I'll take a look at it
L-O-T-T?
because plenty of institutions like the Cato, for example, Cato, they're saying that this is all
hold on.
bunk.
Who's Cato funded by?
Cato can suck my dick.
Who's Cato funded by?
Jesus.
They're pro.
Yeah, are they lib or are they good?
I love Cato.
No, they're conservative, but they're definitely their slant is they're pro-immigration, pretty heavy. Yeah, so like
they lied about Trump flat out in one of their studies. They used his Title 42 to say that was his intended immigration policy. He intended to cut legal migration by 65% or some shit. It was like a bullshit study, dude.
This is how you found out right here. This is how now that I know his tanky background, I know why.
It's tanky to want to like allow immigrants. Okay,
no,
sure.
No, it's tanky because you're over here like Cato, strong right wing. I'm like,
Cato's a libertarian.
Cato's a libertarian think tank.
Tucker.
What are you talking about? Cato rightfully called out Trump on his price controls policy that he's
sure. I like them. I'm just saying they're definitely not the. They're like what? Like
you like them, except you're not a big fan about like their stance on immigration, of course.
Yeah,
I wonder why.
It's wrong.
Tucker Carlson is a good fellow at Cato Institute. That should give him at least some right wing credentials.
I'm also not a libertarian.
God, if only you were.
Supported by the Koch brothers.
The Koch brothers are good people, and one of them's dead, so it's Koch brother now at this point.
I guess that's fair. That's just fair.
But seriously, the studies, because every single study I've ever, like when I've looked into this shit, every study I've seen demonstrated that like they work more, they commit less crime, and like in terms of using up government services, I haven't even seen proof that that's the case, that they use up more government services. I'm open to have my mind changed, but from what I can see, like I'm not saying, I mean, maybe you got other shit, but from what I have seen, they seem to be a net positive on the economy. I don't know.
Here is a thing about illegal immigrants or immigrants in general and crime is that, as far as I know, that the studies they don't have very much data on it to begin with, which is weird to me. And I think that the federal government should start making.
Why is it they don't have that information?
But I think it's only one state in the country, Texas, that actually collects the illegal immigrant.
Wow.
I think it's Arizona and Texas were the two.
Is Arizona there now?
Yeah, that's where he did his two studies.
It's amazing how that might be important information to have, but you know.
Wait, are you making this out like it's a red versus blue thing? Because there's plenty of red states.
I'm making it out like us Texans been saying this shit for a while. Nobody listened to us.
I think that
now you're coming around.
I think the data on this is important. God,
I love Trump winning. We're turning all the lefties right. It's just coming around.
No, I'm always
You're not turning me anyway.
Left-wing people are always for having more information around truisms in the world. Like now, internet lefties, maybe not your Twitter lefties or your.
Here's my question. Let's say that we all dive into the data. Tyler's saying he's got some stuff. I said I've seen other stuff. We really dig into it, and it turns out that I'm right. Is that kind of like? Is this relevant to your guys' opinion on illegal immigration, or is like the concept? Okay.
You're not getting Gibbs on that one. I'm sorry. Were you not on that WIC panel where he and I met?
I know. I'm not getting Gibbs. I was more like referencing the other people. Okay.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, Gibbs lost some cattle one time, and he blames it on the immigrants.
Well, you know what's sad is I probably would have butchered the cow and let him eat it, if they had just asked. But no.
Wait, is that actually? I didn't actually know that background. I just remember being on a panel with Gibbs and him saying he wanted to drone strike women and children on the border if that's what it took.
Well, it's also the Texas history, my family has been here since the Revolution. The Alamo, right? Big Battle, might have heard of it. It's kind of like basically the Thermopylae of the United States, except it was Texas because we're better than y'all. Anyway, the cannons from that battle are at the Colonel Gibbs Hotel across the street from the Alamo. I don't know if you can figure out when I say Rio Grande should be the border. We fucking fought and died for this bullshit. And then over here, they're like, nah, we're going to just not enforce this border at all. Yeah, it fucking matters a little bit over here. And they did kill my cows.
All of that right there, Gibbs, is why you'll always be my favorite conservative. I love you.
Was there actually like a bunch of illegals that killed one of your cows? Is that actually what happened?
I've had two die like over the last like
Was it
8
aliens?
years.
I know they
8
go
years.
after
No,
cows.
it was. I mean, well, I don't know if aliens fucking make barbacoa, but they were fucking had a goddamn
They were illegal aliens.
barbecue out there. Yeah, they were eating fucking barbecue out there, having a great old time. But yeah,
I think I understand your position more now that.
Yeah, and but like it's not even worse.
I understand why you believe this. Yes.
Well, my cousin had so he has a ranch on the border. I don't fucking know what county, but like he's got a ranch, and it's one of his smallest. Like he's the land he owns, and he's actually have to sell this to Texas A&M. I don't know why specifically them, but they own a fucking bunch of land anyway. And he lost like $32,000 on that specific area alone, and it forced him to sell the land just because people would cut the fences along the border just to get in, and like then they would eat the cattle because they're going through like hostile terrain. And so he like lost like 32,000 over like just in 1 year. I don't know how much he lost over like 5, but he eventually had to sell that shit. I'm like, well, this is bullshit. Like nobody's doing nothing about none of this, you know. But yeah, how did we get to this on the border again?
Because it's the biggest issue in America.
It's a Gibbs panel. So.
Uh-oh. Ali died.
I lost.
I've also got to depart, but
yeah, that's perfect segue. Yeah, if you're let's do closings here. Yeah, it's perfect time. We went a little over. I wanted to go about 2 hours. We're at 2:15. So let's start with Pentemple. You had to go. You said you had to leave. Go ahead if you want to go.
Oh, I mean, I can. I just. Okay, the ball's rolling. We can go in order.
All right, cool. All right, go ahead, Tyler. You want to start us off then? You got to close and tell everybody where you find you and all that good jazz.
So again, I'm working on a video, the election recap, basically from the view of the polling data, covering just conventional polling data, how it's always been covered and how it was written on the wall. And Cluck and I had a 2-hour conversation. Actually, it went on for like, 4 hours that one night, talking about this exact subject. Yeah, where it was just written on the wall for me. I saw the Trump win a year before the election. So, and I called it pretty damn close. I missed 1 state, 1 Senate vote. So watch my fucking recap and learn something, because I'm goddamn right. That being said, on this, we could have avoided 2 hours of conversation by just burning the homeless. I'm surprised nobody agreed with me, but okay. That being said, here we are. This policy is it's an extra step, an extra concession. The people that it appeases don't care. The police movement was thoroughly defeated. Let's just get past it. Trump should just follow the laws that we have on the books already. We can already deal with this problem. Problem solved.
Gibbs, I don't know if you saw, Ali needs to be let back in. He's in AFK.
Oh, back in.
Sorry.
That's all I got.
I appreciate it. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Lactoid.
Yeah, I'm Lactoid. You can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Like I've said before, I think we, as it's very clear, right? I voted for Trump, and I think that we dodged a major bullet with Kamala Harris. But I think it's also important not to worship political figures. I think it's important to criticize political figures, and if political figures do something that's wrong, it's perfectly fine to point that out and to fight against it. And I think this policy, not a very good one from Trump, and we shouldn't feel afraid to say, hey, man, not the best idea. Find another one. We know you can. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Gibbs.
All right, thank you so much. Liberal Cluck.
Yeah, for the homelessness topic, I think that building humane structures to house them, to house homeless people of various different types of needs, and then requiring people who are trying to sleep outside in public to use those facilities. Otherwise, they will be forced to go to jail, is probably the best policy. But I don't think that we should be sending people to jail unless we have a humane alternative for them to go to.
All right, thank you so much, and thanks for being here. All right, Pentemple.
All right, you can find me at Pentemple TV. I generally like the idea of the plan. I hope it's implemented effectively. I think like a big part of it is the rehab part, so that would be like a big part of selling me on this. But I kind of see it as like this like cancer that grows, and it's if you can kind of spread it out, it'll be less of an issue. I do think if you move them out of these pockets, that it will also reduce the amount of people that get sucked into it. I like the pursuit. I like the aim. I hope it's implemented in a way that works. I'm certainly not, emotionally attached to any sort of process on this. I just think that the tent cities and the homeless list issue is something that needs to be addressed and acknowledged. So I like the idea. I hope it's implemented well.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks for being here. All right, Ali.
No tents. We can't build tents. That's just going to be disgusting. Trump should be building, like some type of like housing, apartment, whatever the fuck it may be. I'm good with getting homeless people need to get a bed to sleep in. Then we can talk about getting them jobs and doing all these things. They have to be able to shower and sleep 8 hours before they can go to work. Some mental health wouldn't, mental health help wouldn't hurt either. So like, some therapists, some medical, people there doesn't hurt. But yeah, getting them out of cities where they're just like being a nuisance and like causing themselves destruction and the city around them and civilians destruction, it's not worth it causing harm. But yeah, I'm just glad to see that Trump's memeing his way through. So I want to see what the next 4 years look like.
All right. Thanks so much. And the big JC.
Yeah, so I think that the fact that no one basically on the panel agreed with the proposal just kind of as is, like the Agenda 47 proposal, is pretty telling. Just like most Trump proposals, it's juvenile and incredibly fucking stupid and incredibly short-sighted of solving the actual issue. We can't just move the homeless people to where we can't see them anymore. We need to address the root causes of homelessness, like the high cost of housing. We need to find a way to get these people off of the streets and back into society, not just off of the streets out of sight. We also need to try and work at preventing homelessness from becoming established, because Trump's plan doesn't have anything to do with preventing homelessness from happening. It's just cleaning up what we already have. As for my links, you can find me at kick.com/bigjc, youtube.com/bigjc on YouTube, and then on Twitter is where I'm most active right now, although getting back to the other two here shortly. Twitter at thebigjclives. Thank you, Gibbs, for making me your token neolib. And thank you all for a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah. And